Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'll call the January 14th, 2026 regular session council meeting to order. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Burris. Present. Councilmember Douglas.
Present.
Councilmember Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCauley. Here. Mayor Loman.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, approval of the agenda order. Are there any comments on the order? I kind of had a couple of comments, depending. I'd like to see if we could move 5A and 8B up to right after agency reports, so we can go ahead and get past the business and get our employees up and I'm sorry, up to present just after presentation, so we can get the presentation and get city employees out that are here right now for the presentations.
That sounds reasonable to me. I would recommend that directly after you said 5A and 8B.
Yep.
I would recommend we take it in the order of 5A, 8B, and then I'd like to take item 8F prior to taking the consent calendar. I'd like to take the agency reports first.
Yeah, I meant, can we go through and do the consent calendar, agency reports? Then item 4. Well,
I'm good with doing consent agency reports,
And
5A,
presentation, then 5A. That way we can get everybody out.
and then we can do 5B and then 8F.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
All right.
I'm good with that if everyone else. is
Everybody good with that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we're gonna
agree
make
with
this
that.
agenda as confusing as possible. Have fun following along. We'll try and do our best to do that, but we want to make sure we handle business and respect everybody's time so we can get through what I think everybody's here for. All right, if there's no objections, we'll go ahead and present the agenda as directed. All right, so yep, item 1E. Does anybody have a new statement of conflict of interest? No? Okay.
No.
Okay, consent calendar. Sorry, alarm call. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved in one blanket motion by council vote unless a council member and or member of the public requests an item be pulled from consent for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes the consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items that the council or public would like to pull from the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull item 2B for continuation to the next meeting.
Okay. Any other items council wants to pull? Any items the public would like to pull? No? Okay. With the exception of item 2B, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move approval to accept the consent calendar with the exception of item 2B.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the movement of item 2B to the next agenda?
Move approval of continuation of item 2B to the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. That taken care of. All right, agency reports, Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good. Hope the holidays were kind to everybody. My name is Sergeant Toby Williams, Sergeant of the Colfax substation up here. Going over December's calls, we had a total of 167 incidents. We had 32 traffic stops, 22 suspicious activity calls, and we had 7 transient-related calls for service. Nothing really of note other than the cleanup still is continuing with the railroads or the rail derailment that we had several weeks ago. I think they're just down to literally the scrap. So if you're not familiar with it, they have to bring in these big pieces of equipment and actually cut this stuff up. They don't actually lift it and put it on to a train. They cut it up into pieces and then put it on a train. So as of last week, they still had several of the box cars and then the cars themselves, several axles to remove, things like that. But they're doing really, really well with the progress. And then a couple of the deputies, our POP team, went out with code enforcement to a property off of Carpenter that's been a thorn in the city's side for a number of months. And they have actually, code enforcement has actually served eviction paperwork to those that are squatting there. So that allows us to conduct enforcement action later on once the eviction process goes through. So if you're not familiar with it, it's along the tracks. There's been a lot of dilapidated buildings, squatters, drugs, criminals, blight, that sort of thing. So we're actually making good progress on being able to hopefully mitigate that. There's a new property owner that has taken a significant interest in cleaning that up. So hopefully that'll be good for you guys in the near future. So other than that, I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On to CHP.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Officer Jason Lyman, California Highway Patrol, Gold Run Area Public Information Officer. I'm gonna, a few stats here for us. For last month, we issued 282 citations, and we had a total of 518 contacts, which includes verbal warnings and all that kind of stuff. We also had 225 motorist services for people that were broke down. We had 15 arrests. 10 of those were for DUI. We had thankfully no fatality collisions. We had a total of 26 collisions. 16 of those were property damage only, and the other 10 were injuries, but no fatalities. We did have some pretty good weather last month that added a lot of snow and rain to everything. And thankfully, we were able to get the Caltrans was all their construction stuff is starting to get tidied up through there. And they got most of that picked up. They're still doing a lot of work, but the lanes are pretty much open now. So that's very helpful for us. And they're working diligently on getting that all finished up soon. Does anybody have any other questions for me? Yes. It's from Canyon Way to Kingvale. Yes, sir. I have not heard that. No. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this has always been an issue for me is I live at Secret Town. And so the trucks are not pulling their brakes at the top like they're supposed to.
Can I pause you real quick? I want to give you a microphone just to make sure the folks who are online are able to also hear the questions and fully participate in the meeting. Thank you, Sean.
So why isn't the mandatory trucks at the top, not being allowed to drive by without pulling their brakes? Because when they get to, Dutch Flat and Secret Town or Norton Craig, they pull over, their brakes are on fire, start a vegetation fire. And at Secret Town Lane, we only have one way out, and it's right there by the freeway. So that's always been a big concern for me.
Yes. We do enforce that heavily up there. We write a lot of citation. We pull over a lot of the trucks up there. Obviously, we cannot stop every single truck up there every single day. But that is an active enforcement area that we do routinely work that specifically for that situation. The other issue with that is the way the law is written, the trucks do not have to, all they have to do is pull into that spot and stop, and then they can leave. They do not have to sit there for any certain amount of time to cool their brakes or anything like that. So a lot of them do, biggest majority of them do pull in there and stop, and then they just continue right on, which may even cause more problems because they have used their brakes to get stopped and now they're getting going again. But as they go down the hill, it is all on the drivers for not using proper driving procedures going down the hill, and they get started going down too fast. And then typically what happens is somewhere along the line, they are forced to slow down due to another truck or somebody cuts in front of them or whatever that reason is. Down their brakes are really hot, and then they can't get any more cooling done because they're already got them hot. That is one of the reasons why Caltrans has spent a tremendous amount of money and time over the last couple of years cutting a lot of the trees back all along the shoulders down through there. There's always more that can be done, but they are actively working on that and have made tremendous amounts of clearing to help give them, if they do catch on fire, there is at least, if they're not like parked underneath the trees where they were a few years ago, the trees came completely all the way to right to the shoulder, and they have cut those trees back considerably. And my understanding is that contract is still ongoing, and next spring they will be continuing doing more and more of that. They don't do that work during the winter time, but that is being actively worked on.
So if they do cause a vegetation fire and CAL FIRE has to be called out, is then the trucking company liable for that?
I do not know what that
Under current
answer
law,
is.
no.
Maybe the fire guys can help with that.
Under current law, no, not the way it's structured anyway, in any meaningful manner of accountability. And that's why previously the council we had agreed that we were going to go ahead and pursue an ordinance in collaboration with Placer County and our neighboring counties to try to put something into effect, potentially even into the vehicle code, creating that liability. I would love to follow up with you on some of these stats because I think that there's a real opportunity here for us to do some advocacy for a new bill to make some amendments to the vehicle code.
Yes, ma'am.
Change the trucks, make it mandatory that they have to stay there. Stopping and being take off again.
Yes, that would have to be an amendment to the vehicle code to specify a certain time limit.
Just to speak up, unfortunately, I'm just gonna advocate. That's not realistic, and I'll speak about, that's because you have to gauge the amount of trucks that are coming down Interstate 80. And if they allotted amount of time of 5 minutes, you would have to have enough lanes to stage those trucks for 5 minutes. That's not realistically feasible. So I'm just trying to head this off at the pad.
And that's why I think that there'd be a lot more discussion than, what seems like the obvious answer a lot of times is a little too hypersimplified. So we'll definitely have to, dig into it a bit. But I do think there's some real opportunity here to maybe do some good advocacy that, fits in well with our current leadership we've had as far as wildfire, because we're one of the most vulnerable communities to that risk.
And I can add that they are continuing work. There is a contract with Caltrans right now that will continue work for sure. They still had about half the contract to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cal Fire.
Good evening, Clint Siebert, Battalion Chief, Placer County Fire, CAL FIRE. For us in the month of December, we had 0 vegetation fires, 1 residential structure fire, 5 vehicle fires, and for a total call of 92 calls, and that's out of Station 30. So that's just the general area that the Colfax Station 30, that's across the freeway, that's what they respond to. For us, we continue to do fuel reduction projects. We have quite a few in the works we've been working on. There's up in Culberson Delta areas, what we've been focusing on so far this year. We do plan on coming back and finishing the burnt flat area, which we were working on last year. So we still have piles to burn in there. You'll see smoke in there eventually when we make our way down there as crews finish projects up the hill. Just to kind of close the loop, the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council is working with Caltrans to get that grant to clear the freeway. And that is something that's on our radar, is those larger commercial vehicles and the fires that start from that. So we are trying to assist our partners and be proactive in the fuel reduction that does assist with that. So I know CHP is also doing a really good job with messaging to the drivers. So they're going around to these commercial companies last year. They did a bunch of trainings with them to kind of show why and to prevent those fires. So they're working with those cooperators to prevent some of those fires from even starting. For us, last meeting, I spoke about our reorg and us bringing on additional battalion chiefs. Tonight, I'm going to introduce my first of two new partners. This is Battalion Chief Yoshpe White, and he will be starting on the 19th with us. So he can give a quick introduction.
Thank you. As Clint said, my name is Yosh P. White. I go by Yosh. This is my 32nd year in the fire service, and I'm coming most recently as the captain at the Thunder Valley Casino Fire Station with County Fire. So I'm excited to be a part of this team, excited to be a part of your fire department.
Thank you. Welcome.
Any questions for us? Thank you.
Nope. Thank you very much. All right. The nonprofits tonight. Sharon. Now.
Sharon Connors with the Colfax Lions and the Colfax DFW Auxiliary 2003. I'm happy to say that the Lions crab feed once again has sold out this year for January the 24th. So we're good to go on that. The VFW Auxiliary, we have every year this is our second year for a pancake breakfast with Santa. And we give the kids presents, we fundraise and get the money to pay for those presents. And also I'd like to remind the community that if you have seniors that are graduating this year, we want you to know that if they're going into the military, we have a scholarship for them, as well as other scholarships they could apply for. So if you watch Facebook or contact us, we like to give our money away. So that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sonia Keller, President of Seroptimus International of Colfax. I want to thank the city for supporting our Seroptimus 35th Annual Soup Kitchen. I wanted to report back to you that we did have 21 of our free tickets distributed to the senior low-income housing join us for our soup kitchen. And then we did have remaining extra soup. And we took 16 or 60 containers, 16 ounce of leftover soup, hand delivered it to the low income senior housing project. And I was told that it was gone in an hour and a half. So thank you very much. And we made certain and let them know that the city helped with that. They were surprised, but very supportive and happy to hear that. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Right. Any other nonprofits? Randy?
The 3rd of July will be hosted by the Wrecking Crew. Will be doing the soup cook-off on the 25th of this month, and it will be from 12 to 2 p.m. and tickets to taste and vote will be $10. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other nonprofits? Oh, Aaron?
Hello, Happy New Year. Erin Newington with the Historic Colfax Downtown Association. I wanted to just give you a heads up. We're working on some brand new events that we're bringing to town. Last year we launched some concert series, or a couple concerts, I should say, and the Colfax Bazaar, which has been pretty successful. And we're going to go ahead and start filing our permits for the concert series that's coming up for next year. So we're really excited about that. We have a couple things we're trying to figure out before we do that. But we have a secret that I can't tell you yet, but it should be pretty epic for Colfax, and we're really excited about that. We are launching a events committee. Should you love music, should you want to be involved in concerts, should you want to do festivals and things like that, we would love your help. And if you just send an email to events@visithistoriccolfax.com, we'll get you hooked up. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any other nonprofits tonight? No? All right. We'll move on to item 4, presentations. We have a presentation this evening from our partners at our consultant at Four Leaf regarding our home hardening FEMA grant. Welcome, Mike Lucan. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Yes, just wanted to come and give a brief update on a very important program with Colfax back, I think it was in 2021. The city of Colfax applied for about a $7 million grant to do 137 home hardening projects and 63 defensible space projects funded through a hazard mitigation grant. The city was successful in getting that awarded. However, it took about 2.5 years for FEMA to actually give a formal funding award. They did that, and the city had worked with Cal OES to proceed to bring that project forward. You hired Four Leaf to implement the program for you and to move forward. The program is broken as according to the grant agreement, was broken into 2 phases, which is very normal for this type of program. Which is phase 1 is a desktop environmental review that's conducted by subject matter experts in environmental affairs and also historic preservation and cultural preservation to come up with a set of cleared parcels for that program. And then phase 2 is the actual home hardening project itself, where we market the program, take applications in from homeowners, go out and assess their homes for what needs to be done, come up with a scope of work, agree on the scope of work with the homeowner, and then hire a contractor with their assistance, and then do the construction and close out the project. We commenced phase 1, and we're very close to completion of phase 1, actually ahead of schedule and under budget. We hired a group of sub-consultants that had done this in other jurisdictions before and sort of perfected the system, both making it very cost effective. And so there'll be money left over in phase 1, not a lot, but a portion of that $534,000 can be transferred over into the actual home hardening part of it. And so we can, in concept, do a little more work with that. So in January, we're going to submit those list of cleared parcels, as well as the program setup, how kind of the program guidelines for the program when it gets going, and then ask to move into phase 2. Little problem with that, in that we were just notified by Cal OES that their discussions with FEMA, that there will be a 1 to 2 year delay in funding for phase 2. So we gained some time, a few months. We didn't really have to finish phase 1 until August, but we probably won't get to see the money for 1 to 2 years. We talked to other jurisdictions. Actually, Four Leaf is implementing a similar program for El Dorado County. And pretty much without fail, every jurisdiction is facing this 1 to 2 year delay. We did approach Congressman Kiley's office on a very preliminary basis. We certainly wanted to seek your input first, but we just said, hey, can we get some help and maybe speed this up a little bit? And they said, absolutely, this is wrong. And so with your blessing tonight, we can work with staff to make that request. I don't know if we'll be successful because, again, a lot of other jurisdictions are in the same boat, but it is putting people's homes at risk and not allowing us to implement the program. So that's the status tonight. So it's kind of good news, but this delay, which from the contractor's perspective, is unacceptable. I'm sure it's unacceptable to you too, and we'd be happy to work with the congressman's office and actually Placer County has offered to sort of help behind the scenes as well in their governmental affairs office, and their lobbyists to maybe help a little bit too. Again, kind of unofficially. So that concludes my report. We would really like to get going with this. There's certainly been a lot of changes in the program that we'll have to work through as well. So things like FEMA doesn't really want to fund anything but cleared parcels, and that's a little bit of a problem that we'll have to grapple with. What that means is if your home is older than 1982, your parcel is not cleared, and you'd be ineligible in the first phase of the project. Again, that's wrong. We'll kind of add that to our list of asks when we go and ask for a extension. But so that it's a very challenging program. It's a very good program. It will be good for Colfax to retrofit up to 137 homes. Prices have escalated since 2021. So we would probably, in the end of the day, the average price for these in other jurisdictions started, and we estimated to start about $37,000. Projects are actually coming in around $60,000. So, and that's due to inflation and supply chain issues and a bunch of stuff. So, but we're still going to make a dent. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. The rest of the materials in the staff report.
Are we still looking at about a 10% from the homeowner roughly?
Yes.
Just so they got a little saving time. If we do have to wait a little bit longer, now they have a little bit more time to save that 10%.
Yeah.
So that's roughly, we're
Yes.
still
Yeah.
fitting.
90% of it
Okay.
is funded by the grant, and the homeowner has to make a 10% match, which is actually in a lot of other jurisdictions, it's a much higher percentage that the homeowner has to come up with. But we were lucky to get 10%. So
is it only improvement or
I'm sorry.
also property? Is it improvement only for hardening or property?
It's both hardening and defensible space. In fact, defensible space is actually has to be done. So if you have you apply for something to do something to your house, you actually have to take care of the outside, the defensible space first before you do the home hardening. So, but you can just do defensible space if you want to as well.
And I remember the last time you mentioned the first step would be surveying. Has any of that happened yet?
Yep, we did that, and again, we came in ahead of schedule and under budget.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ken.
Sounds like what they told me in basic training in the Army. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yes.
On that note, so you did mention going to Congressman Kiley's office. I know you are a brilliant political strategist. I don't expect you to have an answer on the spot, but would you be willing to put together just a briefing for the council on basically what we can do to try to push this? Because I'm 100% in support of going to the congressman, but if there's any other actions we can take to help advocate for this, I definitely want to do so in a way that's, strategically minded, not just us coming in and, trying to bang down the door.
Yeah, I'm just a consultant now, and so we're actually going to need your help, because you're the members of the community and represent the community as a council. So yes, we will need your involvement.
Okay, yeah, if you can let
I'd be
us
happy
know
to
the
do a
best
briefing
way that
paper,
you
yeah.
think we can be involved in that.
Sure.
I think I can assume we're probably going to be very supportive there.
Absolutely. Any questions from the public?
On contractor side, the homeowner side, is there a vetting for contractors, or do the homeowners pick whoever they involve? On the contractor's side, are the contractors, do they have to get registered, or is there a vetting process, or can the homeowners apply for the grant and then go get whoever they want?
It's the latter. This is a highly regulated program from the federal government, and so there'll be they'll put when the time comes, when we get closer, we'll put out a call for contractors that are interested in it, and then they have to go through a vetting process, make sure they're not federally debarred or other things, and then they'll be able to participate in the program, and it's sort of a joint selection of the contractor. So they'll have a bid walk with the interested contractors from the list. Those contractors will then, say 3 of them will bid on the project, and then the homeowner and the consultant on behalf of the city will help them select one, and then hold their hand all the way through the process, because a lot of folks like this have maybe not done a project this big before, and we want to make sure it's successful and on time and on budget and done right.
Understand. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other public comment?
So if I understand this correctly, you say that you can also use the home hardening for defensible space?
Absolutely. In fact, you have to. It's not a choice.
Yeah, because I mean, up and down Oak Street, we take out shrub, robo.
As long as they're on private property, it can fund that. So, yeah.
Mike, what's the percentage? You said there's it's for 137 homes. What percentage of that is the homes of Colfax?
Oh,
And
yeah.
And when did they,
Well,
how did they
so-
figure out at
So
137?
we surveyed, so 137 was an estimate back in 2021 when we applied for the grant. We thought, based upon a $37,000 project, that's about how many we could do with the money that we were able to apply for. So that's where that number comes from. There's a lot more. We surveyed every single home, and it also funds mobile homes as well. We surveyed every single one in the city proper of Colfax. We can't do stuff outside of Colfax. So in the county, it can only be in Colfax. Sure.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Concludes our public hearing, our presentation. Now we have a public hearing tonight. This will be on special event amendments ordinance.
Sean, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, before we move forward, I think there was a specific ask that we as a body give them permission to move forward with Kylie's office. Did I catch that correctly? No?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Nope.
So real quick before Kathy starts.
Sorry.
Think you actually. Yeah, we don't have to. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't know if you had a chance to read Kathy's email, so. Okay, all right, we're good. Ignore us. You're good.
Don't have to, yeah, don't have to what now?
There was a question. The question was about recusal on this, because when you first looked at it, it mentions a specific property, but it's an ordinance change for the entire city. So it doesn't matter where anybody resides. And so that's what we had to get clarified today. So that's all. Everybody can be a part of this.
All right, thank you. I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Kathy, thank you tonight for
Good
coming.
evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Kathy Pease, planning consultant for the city. So I'm here before you to request that you consider a special event facility. So what this is it would define an ongoing event facility that would be offered by a third party, individuals for commercial or a nonprofit entities to conduct events ongoing, such as weddings, private social gatherings and things like that. It differs from things like the 3rd of July. This would not fall into this. This would be more something on a site that's ongoing. The zoning code currently doesn't allow or identify special events. And we have had conversations with a potential applicant who wants to bring forward a special event facility. And so we've looked at this the last couple of months to see, what might make sense. So in order to establish a path forward potentially for that applicant, this would amend the zoning code to identify the zoning districts where this type of use could be permitted. So this would amend both Chapter 5 and Chapter 17 of the municipal ordinance. Currently, the Chapter 5 does allow outdoor music events by right, but it didn't identify special events. So this would amend both those chapters to add the definition of this type of special event And then it would propose that in the mixed use and the commercial zoning districts, that this type of use could be allowed with a conditional use permit. The reason we're identifying a conditional use permit as an entitlement would be to make sure that we take into consider nuisances such as noise and where it's located, and making sure that we look at the potential impacts. With this, I'm also recommending that we look at adopting a special event policy. It would look at making sure there's adequate access to sites, that applicants secure the appropriate county health permits. It would limit operations from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It would establish parking standards, making sure there's adequate garbage receptacles, providing notice and maintaining noise levels, as well as maintaining on-site security as needed. So find that adoption of the ordinance doesn't constitute a project, but projects that would come forward in the future would be subject to environmental review. So that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any comments from the council or staff?
Two quick questions. On your operation hours, is this 7 days a week, the 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And do they still have to apply for a permit for every event that they're going to host? Or is it just, nope, they can host one anytime?
Yeah, so it would be, we'd have conditions of approval, and that would outline the days that they would operate and the parameters.
Okay. Is it an option in those conditions to also include that they have to notify, the neighbors within so much area
Yes.
of upcoming event?
Absolutely, yep.
Thanks, Kathy.
Any other questions or comments from council? Nope. Questions or comments from public?
Sean is getting in his steps tonight.
Harry Anderson, question, 174, I know what it is, Oquanza Hut area. That noise factor. Consideration. Sure. Traffic, if you're coming out of downtown Colfax toward the bridge and you try to get on,
Yep.
you're there for a
Yep.
while. The traffic considered in it, and is there a limitation? Any participant can actually get a ticket?
So yes, to both your questions. The policy that we're recommending talks about adequate access. In that particular instance, that's a Caltrans facility, and they need an encroachment permit from Caltrans for that. As part of environmental review, I would require a circulation study and to make sure that site lines are adequate, and have a traffic consultant work with us on that to make sure that the ingress egress is adequate and safe. The site itself, depending on what site is being proposed, we'd look at the parking, and a condition of approval would indicate the maximum that would be allowed to be on a site.
Tied to the guidance.
Right now, we don't have any application, so I don't know any details. There's nothing proposed yet. It's just I've gotten calls of folks that are interested. I've been dealing with an engineering company, not necessarily the owner, so I don't know.
Based on the zoning classifications that you identified in Colfax city limits is, I think, like 1 square mile or something, not real large. Can you kind of give us an idea as to which areas are zoned that would qualify for this special event ordinance?
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have a zoning map on my presentation, but it would be anything that's zoned commercial or mixed use. So the downtown is mixed use. And then commercial highway is the areas that are along, obviously, the highway, down Auburn, 174, are the main commercial areas. That makes sense.
Really would be helpful to have a map to look at that.
One time for these. Talked about garbage dump. The garbage dump. Was it decided that you can't use that?
I don't know the history of that, that site. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, and then one other thing. If it's certain zones, couldn't you do one CEQA for all of it? So, because it's gonna get very expensive for these people to put these things on with, doing a CEQA for each individual one.
The hard thing is that the city also doesn't have money. So if I were to do the entire commercial area to permit this by right and do conditions, I would have to do it citywide, and that would be an expense, and we don't have that money right now to do that either. And also, I'm not sure how many folks are going to come forward and want to do this, so it may only be a handful or a couple. And so that's a big expense, not knowing, what the interest is.
Okay, other public comment? And, go ahead and move for action. Can I get a motion?
I'll motion that we proceed with staff's recommendation to, we're doing the public hearing. We're gonna waive the second reading, right? I'm trying to read through the notes here. Waive the first reading and then schedule it for a second reading and adoptions. Motioned.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And you can just step there. We're gonna go ahead and move on to your next item so we can get you out of here. Yes. This is under council business. This is item 8B. This is sewer priority for affordable housing units. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you again, Kathy Pease, planning consultant. This item before you tonight is a cleanup. We had an audit with the State Housing and Community Development Department to look at how we're doing and implementing our housing element. There's a bunch of implementation strategies. This was one that was identified, and so it's on our list to come talk to you about. Next slide. So the California Government Code requires that sewer providers grant priority for sewer services to developments that include housing that's affordable for lower income households. When the general plan housing element was adopted in 2021, one of the implementation measures was to come forward with a policy that underscored this requirement. So again, as I said, HCD pointed this out. And so tonight we're bringing forward that policy to provide priority for sewer service. So again, adoption will identify sewer service to affordable units as a priority. There is a definition of what affordable units are for lower income folks, and it comes from the California Government Code. Next slide. And that's the extent of this item. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments from the council? Questions, comments? Any questions or comments from the public? There you go.
So is this in any way, shape, or form, let the people that are gonna build the affordable housing units off the hook for having to pay mitigation fees on the sewer?
As it stands right now, there is nothing that in the law that requires them to be exempt from paying the sewer. This just makes sure that we can't deny a project that comes forward based on sewer availability.
Okay, but it could be denied if they didn't want to pay the mitigation.
Yes.
All right, any other public comment? Bring it back for motion.
I'll move approval of the item as recommended by staff.
We have a second.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Okay, now we will move on to what I think everybody's here for. Item 8F, rotation of council officers, mayor pro tem. This is a continuation from December's meeting, and I just got my pen. So I guess we can move into discussion. Do you want to take public comment first? Go ahead and take public comment. All right. Guess since we're taking public comment on this item, please come up to the podium to speak if you have a comment. And well, I do have one. Yeah, I introduced it. I got it. Yeah, no problem. We do have one comment card, Carmen Vargas. If you'd like to come up, thank you.
Hello, my name's Carmen Vargas. I live just outside of city limits. However, I spend a lot of money and time within the city limits. I also founded Colfax Bunko Babes, which has helped local children in need get their Christmas wish list fulfilled for the last 10 years. I want to speak today in support of Caroline, not just as a city council member, potential mayor, but as a leader, a community builder, and a woman who has shown up for this town again and again. Caroline has been accused of being rude, abrasive, or difficult. Let's be honest about what that often means. Too often when a woman is direct, confident, and unwilling to back down, she is labeled a bitch. If Caroline were a man, those same traits would likely be called strong leadership, decisiveness, or conviction. Caroline and I met shortly after she moved to Colfax, and she came to a bunko night invited by a friend. Since that first day she attended, she has been an integral part of Bunko Babes. When a couple of years ago, my life became overwhelming due to unforeseen circumstances, and I could no longer manage the weight of what the Bunko Babes had become, I asked Caroline to step in and take over management. The reason I chose her out of the over 15 members of Bunko Babes was because I knew she was a leader and that she could handle it. She didn't hesitate. She took on the work, and under her leadership, we became an official 501c3 charity. That doesn't happen without dedication, organization, and an enormous amount of unpaid effort. She did it because she cares about this community and the people in it. Have I ever seen Caroline be blunt? Yes. Have I ever seen her push back hard? Absolutely. But I've also seen why. She stands up for what she believes is right, and she doesn't fold under pressure. And often the people who are angriest at her are the ones who didn't get their way when they tried to push her. That isn't rudeness, that's integrity. Caroline has given countless hours to this town. She supports and helps runs events like Railroad Days and 3rd of July celebrations. She is constantly promoting local events, uplifting nonprofits, and encouraging community engagement. She doesn't just talk about loving Colfax, she shows it through action. There's also been criticism about her involvement with nonprofits. Let's be very clear. City Council has already reviewed this with their attorneys. It is legal, it is ethical, and Caroline consistently recuses herself when appropriate. The idea that working with nonprofits is somehow a conflict should make us pause, because isn't that exactly the kind of person we want in leadership? Do we really want council members who are detached, disengaged, and uninvolved? Or do we want people who are invested, who know the community, and who give their time and energy to making things better? Caroline is not perfect. No leader is, but she is committed, principled, and deeply engaged. She cares enough to speak up even when it makes her unpopular, and frankly, that's what leadership looks like. Strong women are often criticized for the very qualities that make them effective. Caroline deserves respect, not character attacks. She deserves recognition for her service, not suspicion for her involvement. And she deserves support for continuing to stand up for this community, even when it would be easier to say, stay silent. Colfax is better because Caroline shows up, and I'm proud to stand in support of her. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have to clean up a couple business items. We do have a lot of attendees online. Anybody raising their hand, as soon as we get the public comment in person. We'll go ahead and move on to the online comments. And I also wanted to bring up that we did have several, I have 10 letters here that were submitted by people. In the interest of time, we're not going to read them into the record here, but all 10 letters are in support of Caroline McCulley. So just wanted to make that point. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Good.
Hi, all. I'm Rebecca Mazzio. I live in Colfax, just a couple blocks away. I was here at the last meeting speaking out against Caroline's behavior and her perceived conflicts of interest that seem so glaringly obvious. So I'll read this statement. I think many of us feel exhausted in anticipation of this meeting, so I'll try to keep this short. Every time I've made a public comment about Caroline, and in private as well, I've emphasized how much I think she cares about Colfax and how much I appreciate her participation. I still think that's true. This said, I also think there are clear conflict of interest and personality issues that show she is unfit to be a council representative, let alone mayor. Conflict of interest. It's pretty simple. If you're leading a nonprofit and that nonprofit requests money from the council, you should not be on council and or not be on the nonprofit. No matter how much Council Mayor Lohman insists this is not a problem, it's clearly perceived as one. And additionally, no FPPC investigation has been concluded about Caroline's specific circumstances. Influence and favoritism are the issues largely at hand. Furthermore, I received a report about an investigation into Caroline's conduct in this regard. The report notes that while representing Railroad Days, the nonprofit was suspended by the state. During this period, and against the law, Railroad Days solicited and received donations by the city under Caroline's leadership. If this has a shred of truth, Caroline should have been immediately recused, and investigated. Secondly, behavior unbecoming a council member is also a liability. I'm now referring to the screaming and bullying so many of us have witnessed from Caroline. Bullies make people feel afraid. I and a few others here are not afraid of Caroline's bullying and feel like we can stand up tonight for those that fear her retaliation. The people that cannot come forward report the same bullying I have seen, a behavioral issue for which Caroline is a repeat offender from multiple sources for different events and situations. We cannot all be lying. I beg her to reflect on her emotional control and emotional maturity. I ask the council to remove Caroline from council as long as she wants to lead nonprofits that are requesting money from the city and as long as she continues to conduct herself unprofessionally.
Okay. Next comment.
Going.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Brian Hauk. I'm a resident of Colfax. I've volunteered in the community for 40 plus years and I've been a Lions Club member for 15. Recently I've started volunteering on the SVCC board. It was brought up to me at one of our meetings that we were going to have Railroad Days and it'd be nice if we had displays for Railroad Days at the community center. And I was set about the task of finding people to be finding people to have displays set up for our gala that we were going to have for the Railroad Days. I did that. I made some signs, and every year I volunteer at the Lions Club. So I set my signs about town, and I had one at the pavilion where I was volunteering. As I was working, someone came and took my sign, and I followed that person, and it's my fault. I got upset, but I walked over to talk to the person. The person took my sign and threw it on the ground, stepped on it. And in my anger, I walked up and said something to the lines of, "You don't effing steal people's stuff." And I walked away. And after that, I was chased by this person back to the pavilion and was yelled at and berated for a while as the person tried to take the sign from me. Our customers were staring. Other Lions members felt the need to step in and tell the person to relax. eventually everything settled down at some point, and I just had to move my sign that was in the pavilion a little ways away. Later on that day, from a few people, I was told, "Oh, so you met Caroline today?" And that is the case for a lot of people in town. Other people have come to me with similar situations, similar stories. I guess the year before, there was a altercation with some people from the Sierra Vista Community Center where they had to sign up, and Caroline came along with her husband and told them to remove the sign to the point they were concerned for their safety. I'm also not trying to belittle the hard work that Caroline has done in the community, and I think it's great. I just think that it's a disservice to have it in the shade of the bullying and perceived conflict of interests. At the same time, I've been on the SVC board. She's been here talking badly about the SVC and has shown up to Bean and Keening boards, sort of doing the same thing at the Bean and Keening meetings, trying to get us to give our funding to other nonprofits in the community when we're simply trying to get back in the red. That's all I have. I don't think that she should be on the council if she's going to be running a nonprofit, or the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next comment.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before I read my letter, those of you who read it on social media, would you like to stand up if you're in approval? Oh, and I just lost it. I left it on my phone. It was a dumb move. Almost there. I think. That's embarrassing, isn't it?
Did you also send it over via email?
I did.
Then we might be able to help you out there.
That might be helpful.
Sorry, I'm just trying to flip to the right page here.
I wonder if you'd let us know that, I think as Sean asked, whether or not you live inside the city limits.
I actually live right behind the Colfax Cemetery. So I do not live in city limits, but I do participate in a lot of community activities and support this community with my finances in the market and the shops.
What is your name, please?
Lori Coons.
I swear I saw your email, but I don't have a
There we go, we
printout
got
of
it.
the email.
I'm writing in strong support of Carolyn McCulley as mayor of Colfax. One may not describe Caroline as warm and fuzzy, but she consistently demonstrates something far more important for effective leadership: commitment, follow through, and genuine care of this community. She is someone who sees what needs to be done and then gets to work making it happen. As part of this community, Caroline has played a key role in expanding and strengthening opportunities for residents of all ages. She has helped coordinate additional food distributions in partnership with local food banks, ensuring that families in need are supported, which is how we met in the first place. I had a connection to get quite a surplus of baked goods and made a post probably back in 2007 or 9, and she helped me distribute it, which we did many times. She ensures that families in need are supported and champion free kids events, including game days, nature school opportunities, and creating safe, welcoming spaces for children and families. Caroline has also invested deeply in Colfax's cultural and community life. She supported and promoted gingerbread house contests twice, a free production of Macbeth at the theater, and helped start what has now grown into the chili, salsa, and soup cook-offs. These events have been meaningful traditions that bring people together and foster community pride. Her work to promote downtown Colfax has been especially impactful. From the downtown business photo contest, which led to the digital billboard and roundabout photo promoting our city, to weekly social media posts shared widely from Loomis to Alta into Grass Valley and Nevada City, Caroline has consistently elevated local businesses, events, and specials. She has supported numerous local nonprofits by creating event flyers and promotional materials, often behind the scenes and without seeking recognition. Caroline also has helped make Colfax a place of celebration and tradition. She has supported Santa in the theater for Winterfest for multiple years, revitalized railroad days by increasing participation from model train groups and Union Pacific, and played a key role in making Christmas happen for more than 150 children over the past 2 years. Holiday decorating contests for Christmas, Halloween, and the 4th of July have added to the vibrancy and the spirit of our town. Beyond events, Caroline has delivered tangible improvements. She helped secure a grant for downtown seating area improvements, supported efforts to obtain historic railroad photos for Beach Hut, secured railroad ties for the future walking train museum, and regularly assists other community groups through her experience, practical knowledge, and hands-on help. What stands out most about Caroline is that she cares deeply about Colfax, not in words alone, but through consistent action. She shows up, she follows through, she works collaboratively to make our community stronger, more connected, and more vibrant.
Lori.
For these reasons, I wholeheartedly support Caroline McCulley for mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment, please.
Hi, my name is Tasha, and I own a Colfax address just outside city limits for the past 14 years. Caroline is my choice for mayor of Colfax. She's been criticized for how she handled a particular situation, but what matters to me is that she's not afraid to step forward and lead. Even when doing so invites scrutiny. That willingness to engage paired with her integrity is something I value deeply in a mayor. I'm an introvert by nature and typically avoid fairs and festivals, yet I've attended more community events than I can count because of Caroline's promotion and encouragement. If she has drawn my time and dollars into local events and businesses, I can only imagine how much more she has brought into our community as a whole. That kind of engagement does not happen by accident. It requires genuine effort and commitment. Is Caroline perfect? Of course not. But I would rather have someone real representing my community than someone pretending to be perfect. Her integrity and authenticity matter more than polish. As someone who considers myself an outsider to much of these proceedings, I'm far more alarmed by the attacks I have witnessed on Caroline's character than by the incident which she has been accused of losing her cool. Those attacks are unprofessional and deeply concerning. There's a stereotype about small town drama, and I'm ashamed to see that in this situation, it fits to a T. I would never be willing to sacrifice as much time, energy, and personal effort in this community as Caroline has. That level of commitment, grounded in integrity, deserves respect. Colfax would be lucky to have her as your mayor.
Thank you. Next commenter. Hi, Jim.
Hi, folks. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I've been here for a while. I don't do Facebook. I don't know what the problems are, but I look around this council and you're all my friends. You know, I've known you for several years and we don't always agree on everything, but when your friends are feuding, it's upsetting. Like I said, I don't know what's going on, but I know that for the 10, 15 years I attended these council meetings, Mayor Pro Tem always took over. Every time. I thought that was just absolutely the way it did. 5 or 6 years ago, that changed. All of a sudden, there's another way we can pick the mayor. And it was really, to me, it was disgusting. But what happened, and I was here at the inauguration, you know, the council, I'm not sure if people know this, but there was a way to be accepted as mayor if you were, you had someone vote for you, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Motion.
And then a second, and then if the 3 out of the 5 members voted for you, then you could be the mayor. And that's what happened. Caught me off guard because I wasn't ready. I don't know why that changed. I guess there's a reason for it. But as far as I'm concerned, if you put your dues in for 3 or 4 years to get to the point where you're going to be the mayor, that should be considered. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Domino. Hey, Nick.
Nick Dion, Canyon Way. I want to talk about the things that get said online mainly and the defamation of character. It appears that there's many complaints about certain council members. Taking sides seems to be the direction this town is headed instead of due process, which everyone deserves the right to face their accuser in a manner that allows them to defend themselves against disparagement. If people have very serious complaints about a council member, they should call for a recall, or they should request the council have a conduct hearing. Any number of legally accepted avenues for accountability. But those avenues require people to sign their name on the line and take personal accountability for the accusations they're making. Smear campaigns let people operate without accountability, and they undermine the democratic process. The only benefit these council receive is a community they can live in and be proud of. Take a good look at the people in this community that would rather tear it apart to get what they want than give up control.
Thank you. Next commenter.
Hello, my name is Connor Hanley. I do not currently live in city limits, but I have on multiple occasions lived inside the city limits of this town. I am an active member of local events in this town. And I firsthand have seen Caroline's ability to bring revenue to this town, not just for her nonprofits that she has openly recused herself from in light of recent events. And all I can say is that anybody that's willing to put in enough time into bringing revenue and people into this town for the good of small businesses, even those that are speaking against her, are worth their weight in gold, because this town needs the revenue that's being brought here by these events. And anybody willing to give that much time to this town deserves their fair shot at what other people have stated they've paid their dues for. So that's my word. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another commenter?
Sonia Keller. I am here as a City of Colfax resident. I live on Vista Avenue, right in the city limits. I'm not representing any organization. I'm representing myself. And I have to share, I was here, I think it was the beginning of December, a special council meeting. And I was really appalled at the way the public was attacking Caroline at that meeting. Took me off guard. It was something I was not proud of as far as seeing that type of politics going on in our small town community. I have had the pleasure of working with Caroline on many of the different events held within the town and have never had any problems working with her or never been treated disrespectful or unfairly or anything. And I've been at 3rd of July, I've been at Railroad Days, I've been at the chili cook-offs and those types of events, and have never had a personal issue in working with Caroline. And I greatly appreciate her time and effort that she puts into the community. I think it's important to know that my past history, I worked for 7 years as deputy city council clerk for the city or town of Loomis, which is a city. So I'm very used to dealing with council members and how the mayor is put into office and the mayor pro tem. And it is generally done by vote counts and on a rotation basis. And that is what I support. And like I said, I have worked with Caroline extensively throughout the last few years and completely support her as being the next mayor for the city of Colfax. Thank you.
Thank you. Next commenter. Hey, Rita.
Hi, my name is Rita Dolphin. I live at 54 Quinns inside the city limits. The first time I met you, my first instinctual thought was, now we get to work. Between us, we have homeschooled 6 children, as well as extended that throughout the community. When everyone else talk about being bullied, when everyone was bullied into their homes and locked down, you and I said, screw that. And you and I led an elite team of volunteers that fed 90,000 people in 10 months while everyone else was cowering in their homes. I'm going to tell you right now, if this town does not put you in as mayor, we all lose. Thank you.
Thank you. More commenters?
Hello.
Denise.
My name is Denise Brooks, and I have lived in the Weimar Colfax area now for 40 years. Up until approximately 2.5 years ago, I hardly ever came to Colfax. I hardly attended any events at all. Since Caroline McCulley has become a member of the council, I have attended more of these events than I care to shake a stick at. And I've done that because of her promotion and her support and her passion for this city. She's always listening. She has an ear for anybody that wants to approach. She's been approachable. I was appalled at the insults that were hurled at her at the last meeting. I feel that it's a big stain and an embarrassment on our city. For crying out loud, the Auburn Journal is even posting about the city of Colfax right now. It doesn't make us look good at all. Caroline has brought this community together in a way that it's never been brought together before. She's dedicated to it and dedicated to the improvements in this town. I don't know of any other council member here that has made themselves as available as Caroline has. I'm hoping that the council makes a decision that is the will of the people. And from what I'm seeing tonight, the will is Caroline McCulley for mayor.
Thank you. Tim.
Hi, Tim Ryan, city treasurer, resident of Colfax. And first off, I want to applaud you, city council members, on being able to bring in so many people tonight for this function. I've never seen so many people in here at one time. Sometimes conflict and issues will bring the best out of our city. And the last time I saw this is when the music store was being shut down. There was a lot of people there then. And now you can see by everybody who is attending, probably some of these people have never even been in here, and it could be their first or second time. So not that it's something that we want to continue on with issues like this, but boy, if you can bring in this many people each time, you're doing a great job. So that being said, I feel that having Caroline as the mayor pro tem, and this is not something automatic, it has been set up that usually the mayor pro tem has progressed on to being the mayor. But in the past, there were circumstances where the mayor pro tem either wasn't quite ready for it or had other issues, and then you got the election. And I feel that was a really good point and a good time. But now I feel the communication with our city council, and I also believe with staff, is not the best in the last 10 or 13 years that I've been here. I feel that there needs to be more communication with each city council member. I know the Brown Act prevents some of this stuff, but I also think there's some way to at least one-on-one talk to each other and work things out. I personally would like to see Caroline McCulley as your next mayor, but with the stipulations that you have to go ahead and, hey, if she is not doing something properly, communicate with her and let her know, reel her back in. Yes, can she be forceful? Yeah. She told me to move my car to show. And it was like, okay, I can understand that. And she had to tell other people, and you know, other people do things wrong, and you do need somebody that is strong enough. And at the time or at the moment, emotions get in and they can kind of get in the way. I also am very engaged with Trinity. Trinity brings a lot to this board, to this council. And I think with Caroline being the next mayor and then the assistants with Trinity, they both have their own special way of handling things. And I think also too, with the other council members, if you start to communicate better, I think it will go a long way. And I think it's a new beginning. I really think it's a new beginning that will start and get this city growing. I do think you need to kind of check your priorities of what we really need to be looking into. I also do feel that, yes, there is the possibility and perception that when one of you council members are a president or director on some of these events, I think that needs to be backed off. You can do not be an officer. You can be on the board or something like that, but not as an officer. I think, yeah, the perception is just not right. Well, this is happening because she's on it or he's on it. So I think that's also something to look at. But overall, I think, and I thank you all for being here, because I know this is not an easy job. And what you guys go through, you've done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next commenter. Hey, Aaron.
My name is Erin. I live in the city limits. I'm speaking as a resident. Okay, so sometimes you got to say hard things, and so this is part of it. I want to say, first off, I respect you very much on what you're able to do and accomplish in our city. You are a beast in as far as production and getting something done. So I have, being someone who also runs events, realize how many hours and hours and hours of work that is. But one thing I do want to remind you, and all of you, is that it's more than just events that you're doing. It's bringing the community together. I saw something on Facebook and you can't believe everything you see on Facebook. Let me back up. For 25 years, my job has been to negotiate contracts. And so I get on each side of a contract, and I don't always have someone on the other side of the contract that I enjoy. They don't always act correctly. They create drama. They are trying to lie or cheat the system. I'm trying to catch them in a lie. I'm trying to protect my client. But it's my job to bring the deal through to the finish line. And I have to have the skills in order to talk to all sorts of individuals to get them across the line. And I think what I saw on Facebook would be an example of when you are a city councilwoman and you are running a nonprofit, and that your choice to resolve a problem, and I don't know the situation, so I really can't speak to it. But when you're going to the level of filing a cease and desist letter to address an issue with someone, that's probably not going to have a good outcome for the city. And so I think there's definitely a lack of maybe some professional experience there to be transparent. And I just feel like I love all the events that you do. It does drive traffic downtown, but I also know of a lot of friction that is being caused because of maybe how you're handling things. And sometimes I do feel like you do go rogue on things and you're not following things like the law. Like I did also receive the packet of information, and there's some sketchy stuff out there about your nonprofit with the Department of Justice and how you've chose to move forward when told to yourself cease and assist. And so how I look at it is, I'm not trying to spread your dirty laundry because but it is an example of, if you're going to represent us in a business perspective as a city out in Placer County, out into the world, and you're not following the own rules within your own nonprofit and you're breaking what appears to be the law, that's not good. And so I guess what I'm saying is, what really matters is not what the people see, it's how you operate behind the scenes. And I think it's really important that we clean up some of this stuff. I think it's really important that we do have a conflict of interest policy. I think it's really important when your other nonprofits, I mean, an example would be last year, according to this information that I received, your nonprofit received 39% of all the money that the $30,000 nonprofit fund. That starts getting a little uncomfortable, and it creates this tension that doesn't need to be there. And I think that some of that stuff, like I said, could be cleaned up with some policies and some procedures. And I do think there's instances where you need to be reined back in. I also have a strong personality. I also am going to go and kick the door in and make stuff happen. So I totally understand that. And I work on the opposite side of people with strong personalities. But your overall job is to bring the community together. And some of the things that I've witnessed is you pulling us apart. And so my only comment would really be, you have a responsibility to bring the community together in that role, whoever is in that role. And I would just hope that you would respect that that's the job.
Thank you. Next commenter. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, I wasn't gonna talk because I talk too much, they tell me. But my name is Sherry. I live in city limits, and I have property on Main Street. I am fully emotionally and financially invested in Colfax. I find that all 5 of you are fabulous, and I'm extremely disappointed at all of you who are just hateful out there. And I think it would be a shame to... We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. None of you are perfect. But I think every one of you, and I've known you, I've been here for 10 years, and I know a little bit about each of you, and I appreciate every one of you. And I think at this point, we need to support each other And I think Caroline is fabulous and that we need to just go with the flow. She's been pro tem or whatever they call it for a year. You've had a whole year to complain. And I just want you to know I love Colfax and I hope you guys make the right decision tonight.
Thank you. Next commenter. Please. Hello.
Hi. My name is Charlene Ballard. I've been a resident in Colfax and Weimar community since 1989. I've worked in the community, several jobs in Colfax, restaurants, pharmacies, and raised my children here. I have grandchildren in the community living in Colfax. And I've seen a lot. And I believe I'm an introvert. I don't do this. This is the first time that I've ever done this. And I think so much of Carolyn. I am a member of Bunko Babes. And I came in and the first thought I thought about Carolyn was, she's serious. She is a serious woman. And she has, I know integrity has been mentioned a lot tonight. Well, that's my first thought. I think Carolyn is full of integrity. And I can't imagine anyone tearing her down. I do think that we all have moments and frustrations. And I would say that Carolyn is very passionate. And I want to thank you, Carolyn, for everything you've done for Bunko Babes. And I've earned to respect you and stand here tonight and support you because I admire you and I trust you. That's it.
Thank you. Next commenter. Do you have any more comments? Please come on up.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So I'm gonna be a non-biased person because I was born and raised in this town. I don't know anything that's going on. I was asked to come to the meeting for different reasons. I have real estate in the town. I have multiple business in the town, and I'm a very private person. And all I can say is I'm up here because I love the town. The people have their biasness and whatnot, and all I can ask is I've watched this town for the last 50 years, and I've watched the BS in town and on the council and whatnot. And all I can say is I hope that whatever happens, that the liability that this town receives is minimized. Because I've seen this town almost go bankrupt. I've seen this town. I mean, I don't know what your guys' scandals are besides what I just heard here standing in this room. Okay. It's pretty childish. I can say that. That's why I stay out of the limelight. I don't know social media and whatnot. But I have watched this council for the last 50 years with, some of my family members being mayor and whatnot on it. And I would hate to see liability shift. So I would just ask in closing that the council, whatever decision you make that decision that's best for the town and the budget, because we all know Colfax is broke. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next commenter. Do you have any other comments? Harry?
Good evening, Harry Anderson. I'm sure you were wondering when this was going to happen. In-N-Out Burger has a very good reputation. And once so much so that they believe that you can't fix it unless you know it's broke. And they give credit where credit is due. When people do the right job and they say the right thing and they help their customers and they help make the place profitable, they actually send letters of recognition to the store acknowledging that employee that gets a phone call to headquarters. And I believe honestly that people should be credited for what they do right. And I think giving them the opportunity to fix it, if it's doing it wrong, is essential. To the comment about never seeing this many people in here before, Mike, well, I got to tell you, when I was here, when they recalled 4 of the 5 city council members over losing the city police, this room was packed and all the way out the door. Sorry, guys. But anyway, it was very passionate. It was a very passionate night. And, you know, having been here 40 years, lived in the same house 40 years, been on the road from Winnemucca to Davis and from Reading to Stockton. That was my customer territory for Michelin. And believe me, I saw a lot of towns, big, small, and everything in between. And when I would come home, I had to just laugh because I would always be asked, where do you live? I said, well, I live in Colfax. They give me that little weird town with the McDonald's and a gas station. That was it. And recently we've discovered with a gentleman from Channel 31, I guess it is, the guy Cody, he came and he did a live remote at the Wrecking Crew Bakery. Never met the man before, and he was very interesting. He said, this is a great little town. Why is it so hard to find downtown? I said, brother, you're speaking to the choir. I've been asking for a sign for downtown for 37 years. Everything that we do in this town for downtown is wonderful. There's only one problem. We don't have enough customers, just like that tire store on the corner where it's always open and there's nobody in there. You can't survive that way. You have to turn this into an attraction. We have every ability to do that. We are the site of the International Railroad Association, Transcontinental, blah, 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 coming together. That is what we need to focus on. That will bring tourist dollars to this town. If we lose, and I don't know this for fact, but the city manager could probably back this up. If we lose Winter Chevrolet, that's a major tax dollar contributor. What the hell is going to happen to this town when that happens? You got to start thinking ahead of time. Dave Guard is an older guy. He knows something at Chevrolet. And if you notice, if you look in that parking lot, you see a lot of California vehicles, brand new, that are going to be delivered to the state of California. And he goes away, that connection goes away, and that place is going to disappear in a heartbeat. Now, have Caroline and I had problems? Damn straight we have, because we're both stubborn. But the thing that I'd like to see happen is, with all of this that you've received tonight, Caroline, that if you step up and take the mayor position, that you take to heart what has been shared tonight, both positive and negative. Because just like I tell my wife when we get into an argument, you are the one that's choosing to act that way. You can choose either way you want to act. So, you know, the whole conflict of interest thing and all that, can we just put all this crap behind us and let's move forward? It's a brand new year. We have a whole opportunity to get things done, and let's try working together and make this happen. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next commenter.
I am a woman. I am a woman who believes. My name is Rochelle Garcia. I live walking distance. I see all y'all on your walks in town. You hear my little dogs barking. So I am a woman who believes that it is very important for other women to treat each other respectfully. And that includes when you don't like someone. It's okay for women in this town not to like each other. I've been part of so many different organizations as a volunteer, as a mother, as a wife. I've been part of many organizations, and every single one has had their president or person in charge step down because of bitches on the internet. Forgive me, but that's true. And so I just wanted to say that we should stop the cycle of bullying good volunteers until they quit. I think we should act like adults and leave room for respectful discourse. We should not waste our freedom being ugly to each other. My friend Caroline has shown me over these years many different things we accidentally both are doing. We're not, she tries to get me to go to things, and I too am a very introverted person. I like my family, I like to be home, and I really just am happy like that. But she keeps inviting me, and I say, I'm sorry, I can't make that thing, but keep asking me. And she did, and she didn't give up on me, and so I'm not going to give up on her. And every single one of you here, I see you around town, I see your heart for this town. I thank you for your energy and your effort, because my family is I don't even know how to describe it. I grew up in the city and I came here, I met my husband, and I was like, oh my God, it's Newberry. Is that what the name of the town is? I'm like, where is Opie? This is a place I want to raise my kids. And I moved here in 10 weeks. Bam, bam, bam. I came here because I wanted to raise my kids here, and I did. Now one's gone and I'm broken because she's out there living. But you know what? She comes home to this place. And this place is what it is because of you. And because of you, and even the internet bitches, I love you too. And if I was still in Facebook, you would hear my thoughts. But since I can't handle my own friends, the way they treat people, I can't see that anymore. So I'm like you. Whoever it was that said the internet is not the place for me. But Colfax is. And thank you for listening to me. And I trust God for whatever happens.
Thank you. You have another comment? Go ahead, Todd.
We'll both start there. You got it.
Yeah.
Todd Saylor. I'm a business owner. I own the Fruit Exchange. I look at things slightly different. I want to know, with all due respect, I'm not sure I care that you do events. I want to know what you do for the city. And by that, I mean, what are you going to do for our sewer bill? What are you going to do for the things that make this a city? You've clearly brought us together for Winterfest. I was there. I do all those events within reason. You kill those events. You're great at that. But what are you going to do for the city? I always want to know that. And I always want to know where we're spending our money, where the money goes. I want to know what from you. Nobody's asked you what you want to do here. And I did this last time, and I'm curious. I always want to know what you guys are going to bring to us, not what everybody thinks, because people can like me, people can hate me. I don't really care, actually, at the end of the day. I have to deal with me internally. So
We chance at the end.
Yeah, we can't answer the question right now because it's during comment time, but I'm sorry, as soon as we're done getting public comment, as part of her comment, she can answer some of that for you.
okay.
That way we keep it there.
That is why I am here.
Cool. Then as soon as everybody else is done commenting, we'll make sure we get those answers for you. Thanks, Todd. Next commenter.
No, I got a lot of respect for all of you. This is a strange situation. I can't remember, been around this since what, 2006, 2007. I can't remember someone appointed being made mayor. Every time it's been someone who has been elected. Now, I hate to say this, but everybody out, a lot of the people that were out here talking do not vote in this city. They don't live here. And so you got to take that in consideration when you make your decision on what you're going to do here. You know, because you're elected to represent the voters of the city. Not, if you wanted to do the surrounding area, go to LAFCO and bring those people into the city. It's that simple. But you need to pay attention to the voters of the city. Now, I don't know what was said at the last meetings. I don't know anything. I don't know much about you. I don't. But the one thing is, this is a city deal. This is not the county. This is not all the rest of the people out there. So that's what you got to take in consideration when you make your vote.
Thank you. Any other commenters? Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline Glenn Presson. I'm a 40-plus year resident within city limits. My husband and family and I, my husband's been here since the early 70s, city limits. We've grown and supported several businesses in this town. I own and operate the Wrecking Crew Bakery in town with my family. And I have a statement in support of Caroline McCauley for mayor. After hearing a lot of what was said tonight, I could defer but I won't. Over the past several months of city meetings, I have come to realize that a great deal of assumptions, presumptions, and misinformation has been circulating within our community. Unfortunately, I have also witnessed bias, accusatory behavior, and personal judgments replacing constructive dialogue. If we truly want a stronger Colfax, we need to build one another up, not tear people down. The last council meeting I attended felt less like a fair evaluation of Caroline's leadership and more like a coordinated attack on her character. Many of the allegations and assumptions repeated publicly lacked a factual base and seemed intended only to stir hostility and discredit someone who has dedicated herself tirelessly to this community. When I asked Caroline to help guide our 3rd of July planning team, because none of us had prior experience running an event, I quickly learned just how knowledgeable, committed, and deeply invested she is in Colfax. Without her guidance, the celebration would not have happened. Working alongside Caroline has shown me that she approaches every project with enthusiasm and genuine desire to serve. I don't doubt she would take on the mayorship with the same enthusiasm and energy. And I found that you truly get what you give with Caroline. Claims that she does not collaborate with other nonprofits are simply untrue. As a council member, she regularly shares information about nonprofit events, volunteers her time, and attends numerous community gatherings such as coffee and conversations, the Colfax Heritage Park presentations and meetings, the VFW Pancake Breakfast, the Lions Club Turkey Dinner, the Seroptimus Soup Kitchen, and many, many others. Her level of commitment is outstanding and deserves recognition. Concerns about her dual role on council and in local nonprofits have also been addressed repeatedly, and I mean repeatedly, by the city attorney, who has confirmed there is no conflict of interest or ethical issues involved. Caroline appropriately recuses herself when necessary and consistently demonstrates transparency and integrity. To clarify misconceptions about event involvement, for the 3rd of July, Caroline's role was strictly advisory. This year, she will be assisting only with fundraising. She organizes the Railroad Days events, which we are not involved in. I was not involved in, and nobody else but her family was involved in. Regarding Winterfest, Another nonprofit had 3 weeks prior notice and opportunity to assume responsibility for Winterfest because the chamber was dropping Winterfest and October events, but she chose not to. The other nonprofit did take over Oktoberfest, but did not take interest in Winterfest until it was already in the hands of the city. To suggest Caroline took the event is simply inaccurate. She helped ensure, along with other city members, and that the community still had a celebration when no one else stepped forward. Carolyn was assigned the task only after 2 other council members declined to take on the assignment, and she has acted only as council representative in this action, not for personal gain or personal or organizational gain. I am proud to be associated with Caroline. Together, we've organized fundraisers and events, tree lighting, soup and chili cook-offs, car washes, and salsa contests that fund our fireworks program. Each successfully reflects passion and Colfax for commitment and drive to thrive.
Caroline.
You got it.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Any other public comment?
I am Brandy Morris. I own the Bourbon Barrel Charcuterie here in Colfax. I'm also on the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm on the board of the 3rd of July as well. I'm going to continue by saying Caroline's value to Colfax far outweighs any perceived faults. With open communication and mutual respect, I'm confident with others. We'll see that what I've seen, she is not someone Colfax can afford to lose. And I'm going to continue by saying, you can't make everyone happy all the time. You're not going to. None of us are perfect. But when the majority outweighs the minority, what you do and what you bring to Colfax brings our community together, brings people in from all around, and brings a ton of revenue to Colfax. I think, I mean, I know that I would be personally, and a lot of other people I know that aren't here today would be proud for you to be mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? Going once, going twice. All right, in-person public comment is now closed. We do have comments online. Nell, if you don't mind just addressing whoever has a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Before we go to the Zoom comments, I do want to read into the record just the names of those who submitted letters of support to the clerk's office.
Thank you so
as
much.
of 3:30 this afternoon. Anthony Russell, Kat Cortez, Danielle Fitty, Jessica Russell, Shannon Chatham, William Indrabo, Amy White, Jamie Jackson, and Lydia Harper. Now I'm going to move to the Zoom, and Peggy, you're first up.
Thank you, Peggy, for your patience. We'll give her just a second. Thank you for reading those names into the record, and I apologize to everyone who emailed a comment in that we are not taking the time to read them. We do appreciate your comments, though, and the council has had time to review them.
Okay, Peggy, you should be good to go. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Peggy Egbuhai. I'm the Senior Director of Public Affairs for Union Pacific Railroad. I'm here to express my strong gratitude for the efforts and the high ethical standards of Caroline McCauley. As the Public Affairs Representative for Union Pacific Railroad, I am the point of contact for this community and many others, as well as local and state elected officials. I've worked with Caroline for the past 2 years and have seen firsthand her efforts to improve the quality of life for the community of Colfax in partnership with Union Pacific's commitment to improve the quality of life in the communities we serve and where our employees live and work. She's always been professional and kind, Caroline has gone above and beyond to honor railroad heritage and took the initiative, working tirelessly to coordinate with me to have snow and firefighting railroad equipment on display during Railroad Days in 2025. I was in Colfax both days of the event from start to finish, sun up to sundown, and witnessed firsthand her attentiveness, respectfulness, and endless energy to ensure a successful event. I am impressed with her energy and enthusiasm. She helped me also coordinate the arrival of Big Boy in 2024 and was so supportive and understanding as we both learned that the world's largest operating steam locomotive was unable to make its planned whistle stop due to a delay in Auburn. I could not have had a more successful non-whistle stop. The community of Colfax was kind when I had to break the bad news over the sheriff's intercom at Grass Valley Road. I truly enjoy my time in Colfax at these events, and this is due in large part to Caroline. She's a great person, and I look forward to working with her on our future partner events. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your patience.
There's nobody else with their hands raised on the Zoom.
All right. That'll conclude public comment on this item, and we will bring it back to council for discussion and hopefully a vote this time.
I wonder if I could ask one question. If Harry and Carmen and Nick would let me know whether they live in the city limits or not? Nick does not. Carmen and Harry, do you live in the city limits or not?
Harry? Yeah.
Do you live in the city limits or not? Okay.
And sorry, guys, I just heard we missed one hand that was on Zoom, so I'd like to take that comment if you're okay with that. Yeah, everybody okay with that? Cool. No.
Pixie, on Zoom, you had your hand up. Do you still want to talk?
Yes, thank you so much.
Go ahead, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, my name is Pixie. We live in an unincorporated Colfax. We moved about 2 years ago, and it was Caroline who was the first person that I met. We homeschool. I was looking for a community up here in order for our daughter to start making new friends. And she was very helpful with introducing me not only to local homeschool families with the game days and nature hikes and whatnot, but she also introduced me to the people in the community, to Caroline at Wrecking Crew, to the ladies over at Snapdragon. You know, she was able to tell me a lot about the history of the town because moving up here, I wanted to raise our daughter in a community that was close knit. And I've seen that she's very active in 4th of July, in the chili cook-offs, in I think there was like a local play that happened. You know, she is very passionate about not only getting the community together, but sharing information, not just like, hey, you should come here, but she was able to give me information about who the business owners are and the history behind that, and, you know, like how Colfax grew. I would also like to say, as someone who has worked with her with my scout troop, she was able to connect me with, let's say, like the waste management. We were doing a field trip there. And that way we got to understand the local businesses in town. I find that Caroline, she is, yes, she may be blunt and she is stubborn, but in a good way because she's a leader. She's able to show people and guide people in not just making a decision, but making an informed decision. So I really appreciate that. I think that she would be a wonderful mayor. And from what I'm hearing with others, I think that being transparent is the most important thing, right? We can't let someone make a mistake and then just not tell them, hey, this is something that you should pay attention to, and let's talk about it and find a solution. So thank you so much for your time, and I support her for being mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience. Okay, I'll bring it back to council for discussion. Just like to say, I reiterate what I'd said at the last meeting. I've worked with Caroline as the mayor pro tem. She's been there with me at every meeting, getting the feel for it, helped me out with all the projects I've worked on as mayor. And she's done an amazing job. She's had great communication with staff, and she's stayed on top of all the issues that we've been working on. I have full faith that she can execute this job properly and with full conviction. And I hope that we do the right thing tonight and move the rotation forward as it should be, with the two people that have not served as mayor and mayor pro tem. Caroline, you got any comments?
First and foremost, I do want to thank everybody here in person and online for giving up your evenings to join us. It does not matter if it's somebody that is here in support of me or against me. The fact that you are engaging in this process means a lot to the community, and it is very, very much appreciated. So the Auburn Journal, they did publish a comment from mine, and I'm going to start with reading that because I don't know who has seen it. Overall, I think it hits most of my feelings, and then I'm going to add just a couple things because they were brought up this evening. First and foremost, I am not a politician. I never intended to be. I'm a wife and a mother who wants Colfax to be a great place to raise a family. I was appointed to the Colfax City Council in mid-2023, and technically, while we did not hold an election, I ran unopposed, which means there was nobody there to say don't run in 2024. And that does mean that we get all the same rights as somebody who is elected. Recent comments have come from a small group opposing my transition into the mayoral position for 2026. Some of these individuals have expressed different priorities than I have for how the city should be spending its limited budget, and others have ideas for Colfax's future that are different from what I envision. Differing viewpoints are a normal and necessary part of city government. These individuals have raised concerns about a potential conflict of interest related to my role as the president of Colfax Railroad Days. At the time that I was appointed to the council, I was already deeply involved with the board, and it was known that I would be assuming the presidential position after the 2023 event in September, and I have continued to serve as such. City Legal Counsel has never identified a prohibited financial conflict of interest requiring my recusal from any city council decision, as Railroad Days is a nonprofit organization and my role with Railroad Days is entirely unpaid. Nevertheless, I have voluntarily recused myself from decisions involving public funding for Railroad Days events or use of funds donated to the Railroad Days for city projects. The other objections expressed were personal opinions of me, and I will not engage in a character debate. I believe actions speak louder than words. When I see work that needs to be done, I step in and do it, even if that approach might ruffle a few feathers. My service to Colfax as a resident, parent, nonprofit president, and council member reflects my commitment to listening, showing up, and turning ideas into results. These efforts have included both large and small community events, downtown improvements, grant seeking for public amenities, support for families in partnership with local food banks, children's gatherings, ongoing promotion of local businesses and events, just to name a few. While we may not always agree, I value the constructive dialogue and differing perspectives. I love Colfax and remain enthusiastic about our community's future and its continued success. A couple things that were brought up that I will address. I will say without a doubt, when I took over Railroad Days, their taxes were a hot flippin' mess. I was handed a ginormous mess, and then I went to Sierra Business Center to ask them to help us fix it because the woman that they had hired to file them hadn't filed the taxes. Sierra Business Center helped and filed them for us, even though there were some that were late.
Unfortunately, some she filed wrong, so we had to work at it again, and we are in good standing with the Department of Justice at this point. I know when it comes to council, technically it's only those that live in city limits that are allowed to vote for us. And without a doubt, that is what has to govern most of our decisions. But a lot of our conversation is how do we bring people into Colfax to patronize our businesses? A lot of our conversations is about our community that isn't inside the city limits. It's our sphere of influence, which a lot of people here this evening fall into that category. While they don't vote for us, that doesn't mean their opinions and their dollars are not just as important. And that's why I definitely appreciate those individuals coming in. And those are the individuals that keep being talked about. How do we bring people in to do business in Colfax? That's who we're addressing. Todd, you ask what I will do. First off, we have a very weak mayoral system. There's not a lot that the mayor actually does. We're run by a group of 5 and everything's run by decisions. Now, can I lower your sewer rate? Can any of us lower it? We're honest, it's probably not going to get lowered. Can we try to keep it at the 0% increase while we are still doing all the upgrades that need to be done for deferred maintenance? We can damn well try our hardest to do that. Aside from that, what will I do? Listen and do anything I can to continue to bring other businesses into Colfax and bring people into Colfax and keep people connected and coming to events. Those are truly my priority. Keeping both our people that are going by on 80 coming into Colfax, finding out that there's more to us than just that strip along 80, and enjoying our community so they come back. Because without the revenue, yeah, we don't have a lot. We need that tax revenue. We need to be able to appeal to those individuals. And then I want the people that live here to continue enjoying and participating, coming down to patronize the businesses, coming to events, to actually be a community. I think that's all I got. Thanks.
So this has been obviously a very uncomfortable analysis paralysis moment for the council since the shell shock of everything that was discussed in the meeting in December. And, it's definitely been a struggle to figure out how to take seriously the concerns of the public while respecting the processes that we are expected to uphold. And so I did put together a statement on January 3rd, and I think it's appropriate to read now. And I want to make sure the council considers this with however we move forward. So I want to be very clear that I take the concerns raised by members of the public seriously. When questions are raised about the conduct of an elected official, those concerns deserve to be acknowledged, not dismissed, and they deserve to be handled through the proper legal channels. At the same time, I have an obligation to respect due process and to avoid actions that could be reasonably perceived as punitive without legal authority. My background is primarily in risk management and governance, and that lens matters here. Denying a council member the presumptive rotation into the office of mayor based on unresolved accusations, particularly allegations involving potential FPPC violations or references to the Department of Justice investigations or any other legal enforcement, would not reasonably be viewed as a neutral exercise of discretion, which is what we are granted as council, is a neutral exercise of discretion. It would be more likely perceived as a punitive action taken without findings, without jurisdiction, and without due process. Alleged violations of the Political Reform Act fall under the exclusive authority of the FPPC. Criminal matters fall exclusively under the jurisdiction of law enforcement. The City Council does not have the authority to adjudicate those issues, and it would be inappropriate for us to substitute our independent judgment for that of the agencies charged with enforcing the law. Additionally, our city does not currently have an adopted council conduct policy that defines standards of conduct for elected officials or establishes a process for adjudicating claims of conduct unbecoming. Such a policy is not in place. Without such a policy in place, there is no legal or procedural basis for the council to make findings or impose consequences related to that conduct. Creating ad hoc standards in response to a specific situation would in and of itself raise serious fairness and governance concerns. That does not mean there's a lack of remedy available. It means the power rests with the people. You have the power to recall any member of this council who you feel fails to uphold the standards of integrity and accountability you expect. It is of the utmost importance that accountability occurs through lawful, established processes and not through actions that could undermine due process, expose the city to legal risk, or set a precedent that future councils could misuse. This is not about ignoring concerns or protecting any particular individuals or minimizing accountability. Uncomfortable situations test our commitment to good governance. My responsibility is to ensure that we respond in a fair, lawful manner consistent with the principles of transparency and due process that protect both the public and the institution itself. And I would like to speak to a couple points. Election Code 10229 specifically outlines that if by the statutory deadline for an election, there are not more candidates than offices to be filled, the city clerk must certify that fact. The city council may then appoint the persons nominated to office or any eligible voter if not one has not been nominated, or they may still hold an election. Persons appointed under these circumstances with a canceled election take office and serve just as if they have won the election, and they're to be treated exactly the same as any other elected official under the law. So I think those are really important points to consider in response to the appointment question, because again, it is extremely important that we're following the law above all else. As for people who reside outside of the city limits, I do not know how many of you are sewer customers, but it is very important for us to also recognize that while we do have many people who live outside of our city limits and part of this community, at the same time, we have a number of people who are on our sewer system who are billed and subject to the jurisdiction of that as a municipal service who don't have a vote. And that's not right either. And so I think it's very important that as we continue forward, we try to look at this through a respectful lens and that we don't wash away accountability or, dismiss ourselves from following due process because we believe that the ends justify the means. The ends do not justify the means if we don't respect the process. If we don't like the process, let's fix it. Let's change it. But let's at least just take the time to think through it and then make sure that we're governing timely and not putting off our jobs or doing anything that could then be perceived as us not living up to the commitments we made as a council. If there is criminal conduct, we should refer that to law enforcement. If there are ethics complaints related to the FPPC, we should refer it to the FPPC and ask for a decision, and we should have them educate those issues. Accountability should be had if there is accountability to be had. If there are issues of harassment or discrimination that involve an employee of the city, which elected officials are not, then yes, the HR and legal process would handle that. And once we do have, which is to come, a council policy in place, which is expected to include standards of conduct, if there is a violation of a city policy, standard of conduct, or ordinance, then there are remedies under the law for the council to educate and address those. But at this time, this particular decision is not the appropriate forum. That would be for a separate hearing where you would have the opportunity to show the evidence, rebut the evidence. It would go through a formal process. That's all I want. I just want us to do our jobs with the utmost degree of integrity we can, even if we don't like where it lands. If we follow the process, the law protects the decision. And ultimately, it still gives the power to the people to have their opinion taken seriously, and the voters will decide because we're not God. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Larry?
All right, my turn.
Yeah, first I'd like to say to let the crowd, and thanks all for all coming. It's really important to hear public opinion, and I appreciated every bit of it on both sides. It's really hard to get up there and speak at the podium, and I want you to know that I appreciate it. As to where we are, at the beginning of the last meeting, I identified to our attorney that we have a contradiction in our policy. And I don't think it's well understood, so I'm going to simplify it and say it. The first paragraph in our policy says that in a non-election year, the council will nominate and elect a mayor and a mayor pro tem. Paragraph 1. And paragraph 2 says that the mayor pro tem will automatically rise up and become the mayor. Those two are a contradiction. And I think that was discussed at the beginning of this agenda item the last time we talked about it. And as we were approaching the end of the last meeting, in which we failed to do our duty, which was to elect a mayor during that meeting, we did have an open process going on. A decision was made to proceed with the council nominating and electing a mayor. And we were in that process with an open motion at the time the meeting ended. We just didn't get it done. So that's where we are. We can't change that policy tonight. We have to do that at some future date. We can't change the rules now and then make the decision. We have to make the decision on our own gut based upon what we know, and we know things that not all of you do. We have to make the decision from our gut and stand on it and either be reelected or not. I want to repeat what Trinity said, that all 5 of us are treated as if elected. There are 2 of us, Carolina and I, that were originally appointed, but in the last election, we both ran unopposed, so we are considered elected. So that's out of the picture. Either one of us could become the mayor. So there's nothing to hold that back. The second thing I want to talk about is conflict. In the last 2 meetings, we have seen conflict. Again, it's very hard to get up there and speak, and there are a lot of differences of opinion for and against a particular person. And it's a serious conflict, and it's emotional, and there are strong beliefs on both sides. It breaks about even, by the way. If I was counting the people from town versus the ones from out of town, the people from town break almost exactly even. And I'm not looking so seriously at the people that don't live within the city limits, but they were actually unanimous in support. So having said that, how do we move forward from this as a council in a positive way? We need to resolve that conflict and start to work together. And it would be really hard, in my personal opinion, when virtually all the conflict is about one of the people that could become our leader. And that to me is a challenge. We need to move forward. And much of what I am considering is how do we move forward in a positive way? And that's really all I have to say. I want to thank you all again for coming in. This is going to be a really hard thing for us to do. And I'm thankful that there are a lot of people here to see it. Thank you. Kim?
Okay. Applause is the only appreciated interruption. I wanted to thank everybody and thank everybody at this dais and everybody on this side, because we care enough to be here on this side and you care enough to be there. One of my favorite books is John Kennedy, the president that got assassinated in '63. He won the Pulitzer Prize. He wrote a book called Profiles in Courage. His opening statement was, "All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for enough good people to do nothing." But we are doing something on this side and that side. This is my 3rd time on this board. A couple of years ago, I got tired of going through this process where who do we nominate? Who do we vote? And so, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 years ago, I suggested that we make it a law, make it a policy where we don't have to go through this. It's automatic. Well, I was voted down a couple of years ago. Now, maybe it's best that we don't have a fixed policy. But if we had, we wouldn't be going through this because it would just be automatic. Just so you know that I've been struggling with this for years. Well, a month ago, we couldn't reach a decision. So I thought it would be a judicious compromise if we let the person that has 12 years of high-level experience at IBM go first and Carolyn go second. You do it for 12 months, you do it for 12 months. That way you can learn. This is the man that's got a lot of experience doing this, and everybody could learn. Last month, you weren't here, but I recommended that, and that didn't gain traction. So we're here now again to try one more time. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you. All right, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's see where we go with this. I'm gonna go ahead and start again and make two motions. I'd like to go ahead and make, fine. Lawyer doesn't want to keep, the attorney doesn't want to keep track of two different motions, so. I'd like to start off with the mayor selection. I would like to make a motion for Caroline McCauley to move into the mayor's seat from Mayor Pro Tem. I do that hoping to clear that seat out for the other person who hasn't had the chance to do this. It'd be good to get them some experience in the Pro Tem spot, I think, and let this move forward. So that's my motion for Caroline McCauley to move into mayor. See if I get a second.
So I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion. And I am going to reaffirm that this does not constitute a diminishment or minimalization of the concerns that were raised. We will handle those through the appropriate channels. And I second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, can we please do a roll call vote now?
Absolutely. With the motion by Mayor Lohman and a second by Councilmember Burris, Caroline McCauley for mayor for 2026. Councilmember Burris.
Aye.
Councilmember Douglas.
Aye.
Councilmember Hilberg.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Caroline McCauley.
Yes.
Mayor Lohman.
Yes. Congratulations.
Motion passes.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. I would like to make another motion now that the council would allow. I would like to make a motion that Larry Hilberg become mayor pro tem. I think he's definitely served time on council and would serve as a good mayor pro tem also. It's a great spot for stepping up and getting really involved in all the stuff happening in the city. And I think he'll serve as an excellent mayor as soon as this rotation is over. So I would like to nominate Larry Hilberg as mayor pro tem.
Now we get to do this whole thing all over again. I'm just kidding.
Can I get a second?
About it.
He can vote no for himself, but we can still vote him in. Can I get a
I
second?
want to say that I'm not ready to make a second, but I am gonna say I do, because this has not been discussed yet, and I don't want to bulldoze Larry. I do want to give him an opportunity to say how he feels about it.
Okay.
Like I said, these decisions come from the gut. This would be really hard for me. Again, I know some things that not all of you know, and I'm not going to share them in public. And so what it comes down to for me is, can I deal with those conflicts and still move forward and try to do the right thing for Colfax? So that's where I am. I believe that I could do that. This is not the way I would rather have seen it, but I could do that because I'm here only because I care about this town I have. So yeah, I would accept if I was elected. Mhm.
Excellent.
In that case, I second.
All right. Can we please do a roll call vote? City Clerk.
Yes. Motion by Mayor Loman, second by Councilmember Burris to appoint Larry Hilberg, Mayor Pro Tem for 2026. Councilmember Burris,
Aye.
Councilmember Douglas,
Aye.
Councilmember Hilberg,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Caroline McCauley,
Aye.
Mayor Loman.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, glad we got that out of the way. Before I turn over the gavel, I would like to ask for a 5-minute recess so that we can go ahead and swear Mayor McCully in and let her continue the meeting. And we're gonna go ahead and do the swearing in right now. In front of everybody as part of this meeting. So please join us in swearing in Mayor Caroline McCulley.
Are we doing the true time as well?
Yeah, yeah. And Mayor, yeah, we'll do it at the same time. And Mayor, and please join us in swearing in Mayor Pro Tem Larry Hilberg. Congratulations to both of you. Cheat sheet for you. This is so helpful.
All right.
There you go.
So this is the most important part of being a mayor is this cheat sheet, right?
Absolutely. Make sure you, yeah,
Used it.
make sure you don't mess it up.
Sure. All right, so we're going to go all the way back to item 6, which is public comment. So members of the public are permitted to address the council orally or in writing on matters of concern, as long as they are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city and not listed on the agenda. Please come up to the microphone, make sure it's on with the green light, speak clearly, not to exceed 5 minutes. Do we have anybody that wants to make any public comment that has nothing to do with anything on our agenda? Ooh, it's Tim.
Thanks for being so patient on the regular public comment, Tim. We appreciate it.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I know tonight with a few of the other agencies, their comments that they did have, and they also mentioned Caltrans being involved in some of this stuff, and especially with the winter coming up and the closures of the highway, and there's always constructions on those highways. I just think it's real important that Caltrans can be here and elaborate on a lot of the items. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We noted. We will see if we can follow up with that. Do we have anybody else for public comment? Anything online? Nope, good. All right, we will close public comment at that point. And we will go, let's see, now we're jumping all the way over to our proclamation, correct? Yes. No committee reports, I'm sorry. Committee reports. So we will start. Kim, do you want to start on committee reports, please?
I had nothing scheduled, but just in general, like all of us, we went to the Winterfest Soup Kitchen and it was a wonderful event. And I made a movie and it's on YouTube if anybody wants to watch it. And that's it. Thank you.
Nothing to report this time.
Pardon?
Well, he did a video of all of whatever she said it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave the URL to the city but I could give it to you personally if you want to go directly to it. Yes. I will do that.
Yes, so we've had a lot of background work going on with PCTPA, especially the last few weeks. It's been pretty active. So we did successfully, trying to pull it. We received a grant awarded from the USDOT. This was for the Safe Streets for All grant. PCTPA had put together a comprehensive safety action plan for the city of Colfax. And then, in working with staff, we were able to secure the $100,000 grant with in-kind time that matches from PCTPA and city staff. So that means that the grant was contingent on a match, which was able to be provided through that time rather than through us actually putting up $100,000, which is fantastic. That is difficult sometimes to actually get worked out. So it really is a work to the great work that they're doing on our behalf. We had discussed the potential for railroad street improvements being something that we could get done through that particular grant program. But ultimately, it looks like we're going to see if we can try to work that into our evacuation and transportation resiliency study. So we're going to work with the Placer County Emergency Services to try to work that in so that we can seek additional grant funding to be able to address Railroad Street. And I know Sean has been working. Are you still working with UP on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have we gotten anywhere on their FU offer with the whole undercrossing or?
So it's looking like the plan, can we talk about this? Not on the agenda.
Is it related to a committee you attended?
Yes, PCTPA.
Yeah, it's in comment to PCTPA
Yeah.
work. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Just so I can update the board.
Yeah. So we're actually looking at a plan to work with the My New Village developer. crossing or undercrossing is what they want. It would be prohibitively expensive for the city. It's over a $4 million project just on the minimal estimates, and that was with pricing a few years ago.
Yeah. I
So
think we all knew.
I'm actually working with the My Do Village development to see if we can come up with a new design for that. And we want to put money into bringing a road through that way from the roundabout
Oh, and avoiding the
and
crossing.
avoiding the crossing. So the money from PCTPA would be going to revitalization for
Okay.
Railroad Avenue to improve that as a main thoroughfare into town.
Because there is an offer to work with the CPUC. A lot of people might not know this, so for the public
Yep.
benefit, I know everyone here knows this. The California Public Utilities Commission was originally the California Railroad and Crossing Commission. And so railroad crossings are specifically within the purview of the CPUC. And so I do have an offer from some of my colleagues at the CPUC who might be able to get us some wiggle room on a crossing. So I can also try to work that angle. Either way, the thought process that I had with Corey Peterson on our staff here through the transportation board is that if we can work it into the emergency services side of things, as opposed to regular transportation funds, we're gonna have a lot more opportunities. So we're probably not gonna want to mix pots. So as we're continuing to work forward on that, if we can keep the coordination, that'll help us not accidentally risk an opportunity that's available to us.
Just one more
Yeah, go
comment,
for
sorry. I am working on the angle of we need an emergency egress route out of town. Union Pacific is very, very adamant that they will not do an over rail crossing under any circumstance. That's a federal guideline now that they don't want to do those railroad crossings anymore. So having the closure of that crossing, that takes away our emergency egress. So I think it can play into that very well. And working with UP to make sure we close that crossing properly and having the money there to do that too. So
Okay.
I think it should all play together really well. So we should definitely work on that.
That'd be rad. And then furthermore on that with the transportation board, we are still working on our efforts regarding the small city funding legislation. This is special legislation that we are championing that would rise the floor for our state and federal transportation funds, making it so that we would receive that minimum $200,000 threshold that we had previously discussed, because right now what we get is abysmal. With that being said, we are kind of working on our strategy. We're trying to get a co-author to help push it on the floor so that it is bipartisan legislation as opposed to single-sided, because that does tend to get through committee much quicker. With that being said, we do have some potential sponsors willing to take a look at it, including Assemblywoman Hadwick's office. But staff did say, though, that they are more than likely going to ask me to be one of the two witnesses they call onto the floor of the assembly to speak on the issue. So more to come on that, but we'll just see what else we might need to do to advocate for it. It doesn't seem to be unpopular yet, but you never know. Things tend to die in committee if we're not strong enough on advocacy. I think that's good for now. I'll bring up any other items during a subsequent item we have on the agenda. So we can move on.
I wonder if I could ask just a quick question of Sean, specifically, undercrossing means what?
Basically,
The road
a
goes
tunnel-
under
a
the
tunnel
train.
under the, yeah.
Okay, that's, all
Yep.
right, thank you.
Yep. All right. Thanks to the holidays, it's been pretty slow. I've only had a Pioneer Community Energy meeting and that was it. Winterfest was great. Good job. Everybody liked the fireworks. Well, 98% of people liked the fireworks. So we're going to try and do a better job even on 3rd of July. And I think they already have a good plan. So doing as much fundraising as we can for that is going to be very important. Getting everybody involved in that and coming to the events that they put on for the fundraising. They're substantially more expensive when everybody wants to do fireworks. So hopefully we can get that done. But great work on Winterfest. And I think it went off pretty smooth and everybody liked it. Other than that, don't think I had anything else. Great, go ahead.
Official meetings, I didn't have a whole lot. You know, it's nice at the end of the year sometimes to give us a break. I had a SACOG meeting in there and a couple other small ones. And then, of course, Winterfest did dominate everything. I absolutely appreciate Sean was out there, I think, all day long with us to make sure it went through. And other council members all did a shift in the information booth and helped out. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. I think overall, all the feedback we heard from the community was that they loved it. And great. So who wants to do it next year? Because I don't think the council wants to do it again. I'll bring up some very good. So we'll move forward on that. All right, city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Staff is just about to conclude our search for another administrative services officer. Our recruitment has gone well. We've made an offer and the offer's been accepted. And we are just finalizing the agreement process with this person right now. Once that's finalized, we'll bring her in for introduction. Trinity got my next item, but anyways, I just want to say a special thank you to Corey Peterson and staff at Placer County Transportation Agency for assisting us with this SS4A grant. I think it goes a long way, and they deserve a special thanks from the city. In addition to that, I've met with the Lowrys. We're still hammering out the hotel project. Every little bump we seem to be able to smooth back out. So I believe we're making good progress. We're liable to have another all-staff meeting somewhere down the road, but they're still on board and still making sure that everybody realizes that they want to do this project and they want to start this spring. City maintenance staff is taking down a Christmas tree. If you've noticed, it's gone now. Taking down the Winterfest banner, filled many potholes after the big rain event, and replaced some burned out lights in the depot parking area and the lawn area, so that whole area should be lit up nicely in the evenings and at night. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna take Sean a while to break that habit. You can say thank you. All right, moving on to council business 8. So the first item on our council business evening is a proclamation honoring the military service mural and recognition of our veterans VFW Post 2003 and the American Legion Post 192. City manager, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, the city council of the city of Colfax had formally commiserated the completion of the military service mural, extending its deepest gratitude to the artists whose visions and dedication brought the mural to life, and honoring the service and sacrifice of the Colfax veterans. While a proclamation was previously presented to the members of the VFW Post 2003 and American Legion Post 192 on Veterans Day last November, Councilmember Lohman will ceremonially read the proclamation aloud into the official city record at tonight's council meeting. Councilmember.
Thank you, city manager. All right. I had the honor of presenting this proclamation on November 11th for the memorial recognition. And it reads, honoring the military service mural and recognition of our veterans, VFW Post 2003 and American Legion Post 192. Whereas the city of Colfax takes great pride in its tradition of patriotism and community service and honors all who have worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas a beautiful new mural has been completed in our city, created by local artists depicting every branch of the U.S. military, each one a tribute to courage, sacrifice, and love of country. And whereas this mural stands as a lasting reminder of the freedoms we enjoy and of the brave men and women who have served to protect them. And whereas Colfax is deeply grateful to the dedicated members of VFW Post 2003 and American Legion Post 192, whose tireless efforts support our veterans, their families, and our entire community. And whereas their commitment to service, remembrance, and education ensures that the legacy of our nation's heroes will continue to inspire generations to come. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Colfax proudly recognizes the completion of the military services mural, expresses heartfelt thanks to the artists who brought it to life, and honors the veterans of Colfax, especially VFW Post 2003 and American Legion Post 192, for their enduring dedication to our veterans, our community, and our country. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Colfax to be affixed on this 11th day of November, 2025. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you very much to council for approving me to put this out before we were able to vote on it and officially read it into the record. That was important, and it was really great of you guys to be able to do that. So thank you.
Do we have any comments from the public on this item? No? Didn't think so. The council have any comments or questions? No? All right. Pretty straightforward.
Fantastic.
All right. All right. So then let's see, we skipped over 8B. Switching over. All right. So we are moving on to the Christmas decorating contest winners. So city manager, this is all you. Before you went, never mind. Go ahead. It's all you.
Okay. This year we had 7 entries for the Christmas decorating contest, and out of the many participations, the city council members will pick the first, second, and third place winners. I had placed grading scores on your desk so you could do this anonymously. I've received 2. If I could get the other 3, I'll finish adding up the scores and announce the winners.
While Ron figures that out, yeah, double. That's right, low score wins. While they work on tallying those scores, I was going to propose that for our future contest, because of course we are slowly building interest in this, I would like to separate it so we have a business category and a residential category. So now that we have more residences that are participating, hopefully we can get more businesses participating too, because obviously they have very differing levels of styles of decorating for the two. So for our,
Ask about that. 'Cause
yeah.
we had done that with the Halloween and I didn't see that with this one.
Yeah, so for the next one, of course, would be for the 4th of July that we would do. It really seems that the community's enjoying them and it's not a whole lot off of our backs to do it other than to go check out everybody's decorations. So if you guys are okay with that, when we do the next ones, I'm gonna propose that we separate those out. So, all right. Okay, take public.
Sounds good to me.
Go ahead and take public comment on the decorating contest while these guys tally everything up. Do we have anybody that wants to say anything from the public? No? Any of the council? Oh, go for it. You moved. I saw you. I have to, I'm falling asleep. No.
I just want to say how much fun these contests have been. I mean, we've built up a great relationship and camaraderie with the other businesses involved in this. And I've seen some beautiful decorations going around the housings. And I think if we keep doing these things, it's going to bring a lot more out. And I thank you guys for that. Kudos. It's been a lot of fun.
I did tell Coco's when I walked past that just because they were decorating, that doesn't mean we were doing a Valentine's Day contest. Do we have any other public comment on this one? Anything from the council that they would like to add?
Me.
All right, go for it.
I just want to say it was a lot of fun driving around, looking at all the decorations that I put out and getting to do this this contest. I really appreciate all the participation for the businesses and the community. Thanks.
Come on. All right, Trinity. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, are we open to, like, especially with the Christmas lights, making it something where there's a public poll or anything on the city website? Because I would love to see, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Dovewood Court. I know it's one of those things that if you're from the rural farmland part of the Sacramento region before it blew up into what it is now, Dovewood Court is this incredible court where if you go there, it is like you walked into the North Pole. It's insane. And it's really cool because there's always so many people talking about it, and the public usually does cast a voting poll when they come and visit. And there's, little tickets usually that you can put in the bucket to say which house you like the most. But it definitely drives a lot of people walking through and a lot of revenue, because a lot of the houses at night, what they'll do during the few weeks that are kind of the designated touristy time is they'll have like little popcorn carts out there and stuff. So there's a lot to it. It's not just people decorating. I know we got to take things one step at a time, but if we're able to put a poll on the city website that's like, hey, which Christmas lights did you like? Here's the places you should go look at. That might be kind of nice.
I'm gonna say when we started this, it was really funny because I had screenshotted something, I can't remember which community, I'd have to go look about doing it. I was like, okay, next year, let's do this, because it was like very in mid of November. By golly, city manager Ron there had said at the same time, it's like, hey, I had this idea, and I was like, great, let's run with it. But I think the ultimate goal is to have that, the map, here's all the places, and to be able to have a way for the community and our visitors to visit. So I think that's the ultimate goal in the long run, is to be able to have the community do some of that polling and voting and be able to promote it more, just like they do. They have all those lists of drive around to this community and here's all the addresses. So I think that's the ultimate goal that we're getting to. And the more houses that participate, it's going to be a lot easier to do that.
And I had sent some tools over that we could potentially tap into. Notion being one of them I had sent to Ron.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool tool that you can use to integrate a lot of different stuff, but we could use it to launch stuff like that. And also keep track of like council priorities and manage the crazy number of things we throw at staff, which I think would be helpful because it's chaotic.
Awesome. Well, I say we definitely see if we can get a poll up on the website for the 4th of July decorations, and we'll go from there. All right. All right. They're still counting over there. They're still counting. All right. Kim, you got any fun stories to tell us or great quotes while these guys figure it out?
Yes, I do. Is this good of the order kind of thing?
Christmas, like, just give us a story, Kim.
Okay, how many of you did New Year's resolutions? Nobody did a New Year's resolution? What? What about? What the? I'm going to hold my breath and I'm going to hold my breath until you make a New Year's resolution. Well, anyhow, what I was going to say was, for all you people that made a New Year's resolution, may your resolution last longer than your holiday leftovers. A forced laughter would be okay.
Yeah. Are you gentlemen ready?
Oh, my goodness.
Between our two brain cells.
You think you got it figured out? Okay. Do this automated, just punch in the numbers. We'll spit it out. All right. So city manager.
Yeah, I definitely should have built a spreadsheet for this.
We will do that. All right. Let's give us some winners.
So first place winner is Lynn Fontana, 121 South Auburn Street. Yeah. Yeah. Second place winner, I find this hard to believe, Wrecking Crew Bakery, 30 North Main Street. Third place winner, Jeff Hogue, 48 Grass Valley Street. We will be contacting the winners and handing the prizes out. First place is $50 gift certificate, second is 30, and third is 20. And I generally get these at Hills Flat Lumber to support our local lumber company. So that's how we're going to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. All right, so our next item of council business evening is a discussion on Councilmember Burris and City Manager Walker attending Cap to Cap. All right, City Manager.
Yes, every year the Sacramento Metro Chamber of Commerce organizes a delegation of hundreds of area officials and business leaders to travel to Washington, D.C. And meet with federal representatives. The Cap to Cap program is meant for securing funding and resources for high priority projects in the region and on the rise, and raise local concerns to officials at the national level. Councilman Burris is the expert on this, so please put your questions to Councilman Burris.
Yeah, so the program over the years has definitely organically grown significantly from where it was when it first started. I mean, they've been doing this for over 50 years. It started with a few dozen people from all over the region heading out there every year to DC for some, consistent delegation and some consistent approach in front of the federal government. But it has grown to several hundred advocates and many, many, many more teams. And the last couple of years, we have been successful in branching off a separate and dedicated wildfire resilience team. The importance of that is it used to be part of the air quality team, which is now rebranded as the energy and innovation team. And the problem with the way it was structured prior to a couple years ago is a lot of the discussion would devolve into, how are we going to deal with energy resources and air quality? And the real true impacts of wildfires sort of got brushed up into the air quality discussion. And we weren't talking about the important stuff like how are we going to fund our firefighters? How are we going to make sure they're paid appropriately? How are we going to make sure we're proactively addressing the concerns that, you know, are coming up when it comes to wildfire? And proactively doesn't just mean preventing wildfires. It also means making sure that when one happens, you haven't gutted all the financial capability of every possible jurisdiction to support fire departments. Because that's really what we've seen over the last 20 years is a huge gut of federal funds away from local jurisdictions that need those funds timely. And then we see delayed reimbursement on FEMA funds. So the ultimate result is it ends up bankrupting a lot of small jurisdictions or small municipal departments. So we've been heavily focusing on trying to make sure that that federal funding is there, not just for, you know, doing more shaded fuel breaks, but really specifically focusing on making sure it's sustainable. I don't think a lot of people realize how little federal firefighters get paid or how understaffed that is, but it is pretty terrifying what would happen, you know, if we're looking at a wildfire starting in the federal territory and we don't have staffing in the federal territory to address that. You know, the financial consequences are also devastating. So that's going to be a heavy focus this year. Right now, there is a lot of discussion on how we are going to, how we are going to address the death of Doug LaMaffa. He was a major champion in this arena with us. He was very successful in brokering a significant amount of bipartisan support for several bills that we put forward through this effort. And Doug's loss is, it's a big deal. I'm sorry, could we take a moment of silence for that, for Doug?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you want to do it in good order, that sounds good. I'm sorry, regaining my composure for a moment. The goal here is to continue the continuity that we have been able to successfully push and broker with this. There has been a lot of other effort that has successfully championed out of this related not only to wildfire, but also to air quality and federal transportation funding. Specifically, when it came to the Sacramento Regional Transit Authority's attempt to push a citizen, I'm going to put that in quotes, a citizen-initiated tax ballot measure. What that would have done is it would have only required a 50% plus one vote as opposed to a 2/3 vote to pass that tax measure, which would have been a 40-year tax measure. It would have enabled them to have put in the Rancho Cordova Elk Grove bypass and allow infill development. That would have subsequently caused the air quality stats to tank our entire region for 6 counties over the decision of a single county. But luckily, because of the fact we were able to build some really significant relationships here, we did manage little Colfax to push a very controversial memorandum of understanding that forced them to cooperate with the 50-year SACOG blueprint plan. So what that effectually did was it prevented that tax measure from undercutting the 50-year plan that 6 counties had agreed on what was going to get built. So obviously probably more information than what y'all were looking for. But that's some of what has come out of this beyond the bills that we have been able to successfully see come to fruition. So the hope is to continue that work and to continue like we did last year, having the city manager also attend as opposed to just myself, so that we, when I'm no longer in office, have that continuity where we can continue that work and continue those relationships. And that way it's not hinging on one person who is coming up at the very end of their service. So
I like all the extra information, so thank you. All right, do we have any public comment on this one? Terry, please.
Harry Anderson. I spent a lot of time at that website. very educational. And learned the mechanics of how it works. And I figured if you have to spend that much money out of your pocket, there must be something to this. So for those of you that don't know, it's printed in the minutes, I believe. First draft or second draft, it all changed. I don't know why, but anyway, $6,000 out of her pocket. Yeah. Yeah. I read it and I went, oh, whoa. And so.
And that's because I only ask the city to actually pay the expense of the registration. The city traditionally has been willing to pay for the registration. I do not ask for any per diem, any reimbursements, anything like that. Because this is a very expensive program and we are not a city with a giant budget. And it's just what I've done every year since I've done it, even when the air board paid for me to go. So I've just continued to keep rolling it.
What's interesting is the topics and how they explain what it is. Business climate, civic amenities, community resources, education and employment, energy and innovation, flood protection, food and agriculture, healthcare, land use and natural resources, public safety, transportation, water resources, there's a big one for us, wildfire and forest, which I knew that was you. And it was very educational. And I didn't know if anybody was aware of how in-depth this thing is, but it's worth taking a look at. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God.
The meeting schedule is pretty rigorous. One thing I think that is really cool they don't mention on the website, and I haven't really talked about here before, is once you get a pretty good rapport with the other people in the delegation, you actually start getting pulled into additional meetings outside of just your own topic and subject matter. And so when I go, I usually have a minimum of 3 meetings related to transportation. We usually will meet with our federal advocate for PCTPA in addition during the weekend before the actual the pre-scheduled meetings begin. But yeah, if there's an important topic that comes up where they're like, oh, this person, they'll actually snatch you and be like, hey, can you attend the meeting with the senator with me? And we've done that many times. So last year, I know there were a few different federal agencies that I ended up sitting in on that were not part of my schedule. And Ron, this year, one of the things that I did was I actually sent a request over to Cap to see if you could participate also on the civic amenities. And the reason is that's a really, they call that one a lot more of a fun team. But the concept being is if he can do wildfire and do the civic amenities also, those meetings, that actually has a lot more to do with economic development and opportunities to bring funding sources, large funding sources into small communities.
Can I pause your thought? Because I know they're counting down on Harry's time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, Harry?
No, I just wondered which one you picked to go to. Yeah, which topic did you pick? It says.
So.
For you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I read the instructions.
He follows me around.
Okay. All right. So you're good? Okay. I didn't want you to get cut off and not be able to finish your
Yeah, sorry about
question.
that.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Harry.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Do we have any other public comment? Thank you, Tim.
So before you did the explanation of why you are going to Washington with the federal, my question was, would it be more beneficial to be going to the state where we are more direct instead of the federal? To me, we're such a small city, and to me, the federal is so huge, things get dropped off along the way over time. And I'm just wondering if we spend our money through the city, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it cost $2,000 each through the city funding.
No, it's actually more than that. What is it? It's about $5,000.
Yeah, we'll go back over to it, but yeah, it's over 5
It
pieces.
is quite a bit.
So I'm just wondering, with that $5,000, if it would possibly be better just to go with the state meetings, and we're on a more one-on-one. And just because you mentioned Doug,
Mhm.
that's, where he was, and he did so much for his district. And I'm just questioning.
No,
if-
it's a great question.
If it would be better to just go through the state instead of going to Washington and possibly losing a lot of information and or funding.
So it's a great question, and I will happily address that. When we go to the state level, it doesn't cost us any money because again, I don't file for reimbursement.
Yeah.
And as part of the Cap to Cap program, it is not exclusively the trip to DC. The program does go on throughout the year and require additional input and feedback and meetings throughout the year in order to prepare for that trip to DC.
Mhm.
So there are several meetings leading up to it that happen with the state legislature, the state committees, but we also have to realize that there is direct federal funding that comes to the city and the county that doesn't go through the state. Doesn't go through them, goes through either COG, it goes through FEMA, goes through a number of other resources. So an example, the
Can you
FEMA
tell me
grant.
how much we have received then through that over the past year? Because for the past years, I've been here for 8 years, treasurer. And I don't know what we have gained financial wise on that. And it'd be good to let us know how we're justifying spending this kind of money to go to the Washington.
Yeah.
Like I said, instead of the state.
I definitely would be doing you a disservice if I tried to put a number on it tonight.
Yeah.
However, I would be more than happy to try to quantify that.
Yeah.
I would probably have to break it into direct and indirect. But I will try to figure out the best way to quantify that and bring that back because it's I think a great question and we should be looking at that.
Yeah. Just justify our tax money.
Yeah.
Sending you guys there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have any other public comment? All right, so council discussion.
I think we have to be there. Seems like it's important. And at some point, I would move that we do this, we fund that. And secondly, I would like to get a written report this time. Tim touched on it, but I would like to see a written report, even the best estimates we can make of the value that came back from going.
I actually submitted a written report last year to council during a council meeting.
And I think I had sent one over as well, but I think you consolidated everything, so it was a lot cleaner. But I do not believe that report broke down the question that Tim was asking. So that's definitely, I think, a great update that we could make to that report, both ahead of the trip, what we expect to gain, and then out of it, because when we get back, I mean, we can say what we asked for, but we're not going to know until they tell us to kick rocks or say, yes, here you go. And that, as we just saw with the FEMA grant tonight that we've been fighting for since Wes was here, we're 3 years in on that and we're still, 2 more years out, supposedly? Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for us. So we're going to have to do something about that.
What is the registration deadline for that, for Cap to Cap? Do you know?
Registration is already automatic. It's the invoices that were sent. So the fee went up, $200?
Yeah, the fee went up $100 per person so we could get it on council. But there was some concern. That's why I waited to bring it on council instead of just use my spending authority to bring it in.
Well, I wonder if we can hold off on the decision until our meeting in 2 weeks so that we can get that answer to Tim so we can make an accurate analysis of, cost and return on it. So that's why I was just curious if it's something that we can hold off on doing that or how much more it would cost us to wait for another 2 weeks so we can make a fiscally responsible choice.
I can tell you, I can tell you now, I can quantify that we do get a full return on the investment. It's just a matter of how much of a return are you guys looking for out of it? Versus how much more, 'cause as the time passes, it's a tiered system with the invoicing and it gets more expensive
Right.
every so many weeks. So, that's really kind of the question is waiting worth, another $400, another $600? Or, do you guys just want the report? And then you could always revoke. You could actually have it refunded too if you felt that it wasn't worth it. So those are just kind of things to consider.
Well, Tim's question really goes into my mind because on one hand we go, okay, it's roughly according to this $10,430 for them both to go. And then it is, well, there are actually a lot of things we could fix up or, improve around in town for $10,000. So that's, I would really love to know if it's not much of an increase in
Right, what
price
if
to
you're
wait
giving
for
up?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love to see if we can push that off for, if they're not going to say, great, it's going to go up a whole $1,000 if we wait 2 more weeks to make that decision.
If I may, if we waited until the third option for payment is between February 14th and April 10th, it adds another 200 per person. And we've already raised that 100 per person now. So you're looking at a total of $600 to wait that long.
But we could do it right after our next meeting, which would be the 29th, right? So it wouldn't go up that $200 because our next meeting is the 28th.
Yeah.
So there would be no increase in price
Right.
for us to wait.
Yeah, it's before January 9th, between January 9th and February 13th, there was $100 there, and after February 14th and on, it's another 200 per person.
Okay.
If I'm reading the brochure correctly.
Okay. Kim, do you have any commentary?
No.
Do you have anything to answer?
Did we hear that?
He's thinking. Okay. He was trying to decide if he wanted to say it now or good of the order.
I'll just go now
Okay.
and bring up something else. Honestly, with some of the most recent behavior and things that have happened with council, I have some serious reservations about who is representing us on the federal level. I've seen abusive staff and just general discontent with council members and certain choices that have been made that just don't strike me as somebody being the best representative for this community. And I'm very dismayed by that, by the choices that have been made. I don't think this is the proper time to discuss that in depth, but I have reservations. So I think it's good that we wait 2 weeks so that I can feel that out a little bit more before I make a decision.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's my recommendation too, that we push it off 2 weeks.
Okay. So do we have any other comments or do we want to go for a motion?
I was ready to make a motion. I could also support waiting a couple of weeks. My concern again is that I'd like to see a report after it's over, not last year's report, to see what benefits the city gains from this. I'm ready to go for it now. I think we need to be there. So that's what I think.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we hold it off for 2 weeks.
Would any of you like to second that? Well, I will second it, so. So I will second that one. Can we have a vote? Do you want to do a roll call since there's some contention on it or? Nope. All right. Actually, I was looking at Connor more than anything. So how he feels. Can we just do this on eyes or?
Since there's a little bit of disagreement, it's always clear.
Oh,
Apologies. Since there is a little bit of disagreement, it's always clearer for the record if you do a roll call. It's not required in this instance, but it's better for the minutes.
okay, then I will call for a roll call vote, please, on just bringing this back in 2 weeks with as detailed as we can get report of what we have actually physically received from result of these efforts at cap to cap.
Got it. Councilmember Burris,
No.
Councilmember Douglas,
Aye.
Councilmember Loman, Mayor Pro Tem Hilberg,
No.
Mayor McCauley.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
4-1.
Thank you. We will bring this back in 2 weeks, hopefully with as much information as we can to make a more financially smart decision. All right, our next item of council business this evening is a discussion on our council committee assignments. So City Manager, can you please introduce this item?
Each year, the mayor, each year, the mayor recommends assignments for our council members, staff, or the public to serve on boards of local agencies, advisory boards, and committees within our surrounding area. Tonight, council will discuss the list and any changes they would like to make to it. It was Sean that built the list because he was mayor at the time, so Sean, please take the lead.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
So there was a comment made online about, and I can address it since we're in a public forum and not just in a closed forum where nobody else on council could respond to stuff. There was a comment made about somebody being removed from committee assignments. This list was handed over to me and I sent it back knowing that without making any changes to it, knowing that there were inconsistencies with what should actually be happening on the list. I have no idea where this copy of this list came from. I couldn't find the 2024 and I have no idea why the changes were on there, but I wanted it to be here for council to make sure that everybody had the right to say what they needed to say and get the boards they wanted. And that's really important to make sure we're doing the stuff we want to do and we want to be at these meetings. So I never like making that decision and just trying to assign people to stuff. So I wanted to make sure we got to have a good open discussion. So Caroline, you can take it away. I made no changes and there was no edits to this list.
I'm sorry, can I ask a clarifying question?
Please.
The list included in the agenda packet with item 8E is not correct?
I heard that there was a comment online that some stuff was removed or assignments were changed.
Yes.
So, yeah, and I noticed that also that it looked different from what our assignments were this year. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody on council got the chance to clarify what boards they were supposed to be on. Nobody needs to be removed from their boards or anything like that because we've all been doing this.
Right.
We're all
If-
good representatives.
if I may-
Unless they want to, yeah.
As acting clerk, I went through and that's the one I found in our
Right. And that's
absentee clerks folder.
Right.
I did the best I could to put it together. I apologize if I moved somebody around or left someone out. I assure you it wasn't intentional.
Yep.
It was just, that was a document I found and I figured that if it wasn't right, we would move it around in discussion.
Yeah, and that's why I got sent straight back to the city manager so that it could just come here for discussion and we could all make sure we got our boards that we wanted and we could all do our duty.
That is one of the challenges with having our city clerk out at the
Yes.
time. That sometimes, can you imagine walking in and trying to sort somebody else's computer to find things? Sometimes it's not always that easy. So that's kind of where we're at. So before we get into the ins and outs, do we want to do do we have any public comment on this item in regards to our committees or? No. Okay, so I will bring it back and Trinity is ready to comment.
How about if we just go, well, never mind.
I would actually prefer that this item be continued to the next meeting, and that we hold all current assignments the way that they are standing as of the 2025 appointments so that the mayor has an opportunity to perform her new duty of going through the list and making the appropriate suggested appointments, because that is a power that is given to her through our city policies. So I do think it would be appropriate for Carolyn to have an opportunity to review this, make sure that she believes that everything is the way it's supposed to be before it comes to council.
I don't have any objection to that.
Yeah, and I would ask council if I inadvertently left something off, please let me know what that is so I can add it on and then so Carolyn can go over the full list.
Yeah, the city manager can easily help coordinate that for us. So cool. Just wanted to make sure that was clear though, that no changes were made to this before it was put on the agenda from me.
Seems like there are some of these that we could do. In my opinion, I don't really see the need to delay all of them. For example, the mosquito board. You know, we have somebody that's not on the council that is on that and they're asking for that person to continue, why would we delay that for 2 weeks?
I don't see any reason to, that's fine.
Because our processes say that Carolyn, as the mayor, is supposed to make the suggestions, put together the report, and have it put before council, and I believe we should follow our process.
Okay. I mean, if we have to follow our process, there are some others as well that I think we could do, but let's go through the process.
Kim, do you have any comment?
No.
Okay. Then, once we get a motion, if it is to carry this on, my request would be for the city manager to reach out to each individual and ask what their preference would be, because that way you can ask them and bring that back to me and I can review that.
That sounds fabulous.
Okay, so do we need to do a motion for this? Okay, all right. Can I get a motion to continue, please?
Motion to continue the item to the next meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very
Aye.
much. We're down to the order. Almost done. All right, the order. Kim, what do you got? Woohoo!
I would like us to start taking a little more seriously economic development, wacky ideas, like the choo-choo clock coming out there. Maybe we can have the city manager stay here, save a couple $1,000s and put it into the choo-choo clock or that kind of thing. That's all.
I would like to see at some point a final report on where we came in with the Winterfest. We were waiting for money and we had most of it, but I
Yeah.
think the city ran this and we probably won't run another one, but I'd at least like to know whether
Yeah.
we came out
I'm
ahead or.
happy to bring back a report. I believe at this point, we're just about even.
Okay.
Yeah, we were
That's
waiting
kind of
on-
what we figured, yeah.
We were
But
waiting on the check from the bar.
I'd like to actually see the numbers.
Yeah, can we put it on the agenda? Do you want to put it on the agenda, Larry, or do you just want to get a copy of it?
No, I just want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I know we were waiting for that to show up on the mail, so I don't know if that's been received yet, but yeah, we'll get that you can put that together. It should be pretty easy.
Okay.
All right.
And then one other thing, my wife pointed out something to me that she regularly sees in Lee Vining. And I went down and looked at it. And basically what it is a playground and a shelter. And the shelter has 2 walls and it's open on the other 2 sides and it's adjacent to this playground. So people can sit on benches underneath a roof, which also provides solar power and a Wi-Fi. And people gather there as they're passing through the town. And there's all kinds of posters about the history of the town and what's going on and who is behind this. And my first reaction is that something like that would be perfect right where the caboose is today. And there are plans to move this caboose. And I'd like this council to just put this in the back of your mind. But again, if you can picture it, there's one end wall and the other end is open, and one back wall, and the front wall is wide open. So people sitting there can see their kids on the playground. And there's room for it there. There's about 60 by 40 or 50 feet. And there's even somebody in the community that's willing to pay for some of it. And so just put it on the back burner of your mind, and it would create a gathering place downtown where the caboose is today. And just again, a small playground for little kids and picnic tables where people can eat and look at their Wi-Fi as they pass through town. Thanks.
Trinity?
So I would like the council to consider potentially putting in place ordinance or policy that helps us to define how we handle the major events we have in town. We've had a lot of turnover in the last several years of organizations that used to run events that no longer run events. And it's been a contentious topic, obviously, regarding who gets the first right of priority and, you know, all that fun stuff. And I think if we can put something in place that says, you know, hey, we recognize that there are these specific events every year that are large and do shut down the entirety of Main Street. And these events, this is the process by which we will, you know, determine who has the priority to run that event. I think that would kind of help with some of the back and forth that we've dealt with, and it would help secure the organizations who have committed to running those events so that they're not having to deal with potential competitors coming in later, trying to mess with their stuff. And, you know, I think that by putting some process in place and just putting some parameters around it, I think we can really just stave off a lot of the crap that we're dealing with right now. And I'd like to see us look into that. And then separately, you know, I'm going to go back to the statement I made earlier when accusations were brought up against Carolyn about due process. If you're going to make an accusation, I think it's very important that you own it, speak publicly, and follow the right channels and protocols. Not do it haphazardly or with rumor. Let's just address it. Let's follow the process. And if somebody feels that something was done improperly, let's handle it. But ultimately, when individuals choose to disseminate communications that were not privileged to go to the public, and accusations result from those of impropriety or misconduct, and a person responds to those accusations by making the record clear, it is a First Amendment violation if you then want to try to claim that that person did not have the right to set the record straight. So I would just say that, again, process matters, procedure matters, and context matters. That's all.
Your turn, John.
Just gotta agree that it absolutely does matter.
Yep.
And there are certain processes and ways we handle stuff, and
Law decides what those are.
yep. So on that subject, I do think that we need to have a closed session to discuss these items, especially the sharing of attorney-client privileged information on public forums. So I'm going to be requesting that for our next meeting, so we can have a internal discussion about it and not have to air it out. That way we can have something to report to the public after.
Please, and I do encourage the council to educate yourself ahead of that on the definition of attorney-client privilege and what is and is not attorney-client privilege. Case law is very clear.
Yes, it is. And it's very clear on a lot of other stuff too. So, and so are our policies and procedures for how we get stuff on an agenda and things like that. That is.
Sean, could I quickly mention something I forgot? I'll be quick.
Ask her. I'm not mayor.
Sorry, we have an e-bike problem in this town. E-bikes, and we have e-bikes that are going between 30 and 50 miles an hour, riding on the back wheel, veering in and out of traffic. I saw one the other day at 7 o'clock in the morning, a young boy that could not have been more than 8 or 9 years old, flying up Depot Street. But there's one young man in particular I saw take a horrible fall. And he has a kind of a red e-bike, and he was flying up Depot Street, up that steep hill toward Culver, and he veered off through the parking lot, and then he decided to jump back onto the street off the grass in front of traffic, and he took a terrible fall, and lucky for him, it was just before the street. And I checked on him and he was okay, but I thought maybe that'll be the end of that, but you know, he's still out there, and I feel for the sheriffs because they can't chase these kids. Nothing good comes from that. But we need to do something. We can't just allow that to continue.
Yep. I think that was it.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right, Connor, you got anything?
I do not, thank you.
All right, city manager?
In the last 60 or so days, as I cover 4 and 5 different full-time and part-time positions, I just want to thank the council for their patience and understanding because I am overwhelmed at this point. So I am just trying to do the best I can. Thank you.
Thanks for holding down the fort, Ron. We know you're swamped with that.
I know this is too much for me, but I on the comment of sending delegates to Washington, Sean had made he mentioned that he has reservations, or somebody suggested reservations about somebody on the council not going. Do you resolve these issues in closed session and then report back what that is? Because right now I'm getting ready to leave this council meeting tonight and I feel tension right now and uneasiness between whoever the council members are. Well, Sean had mentioned it, and it's like, okay, I'm sure the other councils members are thinking, okay, is this me or what's going? How do you go about resolving this? Is it in a closed session? Are you able to do that through the Brown Act, or how do you remove this kind of tension?
Go ahead and answer his question. It's an important one.
Sure. The Brown Act only allows the city council to meet outside of a public meeting for specific reasons. And if it takes any action during it's called a closed session where you meet, where you meet outside the view of the public. And if they take any action during closed session, there are specific rules about what gets reported out. So if there's approval of a real property negotiation, you have to report out price and terms, I think it is. So things like that. So I haven't, I don't have a request at this point for a closed session on the cap to cap grant. Off the cuff, I don't think that's an appropriate topic for closed session. But it's really not before me. It's not something, it's not something it's not something I think the council is considering. Bottom line, the council meets in closed session for specific reasons and reports out any actions it takes in closed session during open session. And you can find a record of what those actions are in the city council minutes. So it's a little bit rambling, but did that answer your question, Tim?
My request is not for the cap to cap for the closed session. It is specifically to address stuff that could put us in the way of legal action. So to address those issues.
Reason to meet in closed session is litigation or threat of litigation. And that's what Sean is asking for.
Sorry. So then without closed session, how are you resolving the conflict that you brought up, Sean? And what I've saw today at the meeting, everybody wants transparency. They want everything open, and they want the city council to be working together as a team to get this going. And if there's something behind the scenes, and I've heard rumors, and you know how rumors are, they're bullshit, not to quote another mayor of another city, but I just think that this stuff needs to be resolved so you can all make good decisions for our city.
So the 8D was continued to next meeting. So it'll be considered an open session on the next meeting agenda. It's not going to come up in closed session.
All right, Carrie, did you want to, yeah, you can comment as long as it sticks to what we said on good of the order.
And I think I heard what you said. I'm not sure. My only comment on the trip deal, relationships are invaluable. that you've created all these years. And I think it'd be more imperative that she go than Ron. I mean, I don't know what, no slight to Ron, but she's got the relationships. He doesn't, basically. So my vote, if it matters, would be for her to go. The other question I have, again, it's another subject.
No, it's got to stay with what we mentioned on good of the order.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. My
Yep.
hearing
So
aids aren't
you'll have to wait.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So nope, you'll have to wait on it or email one of us.
So we're, okay. So no more public comments till you.
Not,
go.
yeah, unless it has to do with good of the order, no.
Okay, all right, I'll be
All right.
back.
Thank you, Harry.
You know, before we drop that, in my understanding is that we delayed that decision 2 weeks and we're going to make it in public. That's correct? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I think we kind of got two different things.
Yeah.
Two different things kind of got crossed with each other. So, yeah, so the cap to cap discussion will be absolutely on the agenda and for everybody to hear. So the other one's a completely different situation. All right, so everybody had a chance to comment. We don't have any closed session. It is not 10 o'clock yet, so we are adjourned.